Okay, I think we just went live. I think we're live. Yes, we're live. That was terrifying there for a second. The whole thing just said live streaming is currently unavailable, and now suddenly it's available again after I did that. So anyway, that's it. It is 2 o'clock. Welcome to the Sunday service this Sunday, the 22nd of March, and we're all stuck in the house still. Everybody's stuck at home. Hopefully you're all at home and enjoying yourselves. I hope the picture has started as well. Is the picture okay for everybody? Because I seem to be getting a pile of errors on this. Is there a picture or no picture? You can all hear me obviously because everyone's answering some questions already. So obviously you guys might be able to hear me, but I can only see a blank screen. And yet everything here is green. Everything's okay. Okay, so everybody's here. That's good. All right, this is good. All I see is error playback thing up on the screen. I can't see myself anymore. But then I'm happy not being able to see myself. It's all okay. I'm alright with that because I get to see myself every day. The chat has been live on the channel since 9:30 this morning. So about 9 o'clock this morning, actually, the first chats came in. Because I set up the stream earlier on this morning to do this. So it was a bit cool to see everybody's chats from first thing. But the only ones I can see right now are from... It seemed to reset itself. Obviously... YouTube did warn us they are having some really major difficulties with their systems and it's not all working properly. So you can blame the viruses for that sort of stuff. Everyone's staying at home and no one's sitting in an office. Everyone's doing nothing, sitting around. You know, unfortunately, I'm not. Being self-employed, there's nothing much I can do about it. Everybody's out of work. There is plenty of links and stuff on my Twitter account for anybody who finds themselves in a situation where they're out of work. Both the HSC and welfare.ie and revenue.ie have put out a pile of links for things for you to be able to apply for supports. Currently it's 203 quid a week. It looks to be next week they might change that to being 80% of your income up to a certain level. So hopefully they'll do something on that one. But they're not doing much for self-employed people, I must say. Freelancers, lots of journalists have been reaching out, talking to me, asking me how I'm getting on with stuff. A lot of them are freelance guys who suddenly don't travel. The car shows are empty, closed. Car companies are closed down. I mean, manufacturing end of it. Volkswagen closes doors. Volvo's closed. They're all out. But dealerships are still open. So a lot of dealerships, you're waiting for your car to be delivered or your car is in for service or whatever. Dealership is still open. So don't get too panicked about being dealerships. I am well and healthy. My whole family is. We have been social distancing since the beginning of this, which is essentially last Friday. So... not last Friday, Friday week here in Ireland. We've been doing it for a while, which is pretty good. It seems to be working so far. Won't know until next week though. And just have a root through some of the comments that are there. Everybody seems to be able to chat, so there's no problem. Daza said way back, thanks for coming on and keeping us entertained. I seen a chat earlier on. It's missing now. For some reason it's after updating, it's changed. But one of the chats earlier on asked if car companies will go out of business because of the close down. Not really. Most car companies will have a fairly big slush fund sitting on one side to continue paying people and continue things until they reopen. Effectively, car companies just pause and then go back into manufacturing where they left off. Exactly like they'll walk out of the factory, then they'll walk back in and just pick up where they left off. Car companies generally run 24 hours a day, or sometimes it's 12 hours a day, but usually run 24 hours a day. Some European car companies are closed. I believe South Korean factories, Kia and Hyundai, are still running, but I'm not sure about that one. But you'll still get your cars, you'll still get your delivery. I don't think we're going to see too many go out of business. This cannot go on very long, if I'm honest. I know they can talk about restricting people's movements for weeks, but generally speaking, it can't go on for very long. They'll have to do something immediately to it, because all economies are going to be hurt, but people will be completely put out of business. Cabwab says, hi, thanks Bob for keeping everybody a little bit normal. Looking forward to today's show, thank you. Steve OC is bored. Join the club. This is the club of the bored. That's what we are right now. Although I have achieved quite a lot. I put in an SSD drive into this laptop that I use every week. It's my 2012 MacBook Pro, as kindly donated by, he might be here today actually, I can't remember his name. His YouTube name has gone from my mind for some reason. I've said it 1,000,000 times. But yeah, donated 2 SSD drives. One has been put into this one, and I have another one in a different laptop, a Windows laptop out the back. It's an ancient Samsung crappy sort of laptop, but the kids knock a bit of crack out of it, so that works. So I have achieved a bit. Annie McAfee is here. Good. The real early chat disappeared to all. Yeah, I noticed that as well, Marty. I don't know where it actually went. By the way, that's not Ma Day. That's Ma. That's the Irish. A lot of Irish people will call their mother Ma, and so I couldn't fit Mother's. Well, my daughter couldn't fit Mother's Day onto her little thing in the background. My cat to be inherited is currently out chasing insects, which is pretty good. Robert Timelapse says, "Hi Bob and chat. Definitely have been diagnosed with cabin fever since day one. Don't be afraid of getting some exercise. I've been out running, so has the wife. We've been out for a drive. We went out for a walk in the mountains and stuff. But unfortunately what's happened is, because everybody has run out of things to do, everybody's going to the mountains. And so they've closed a lot of car parks. So you can't go to the mountains no more. Well, you can, but you have to walk. The trick is, what we're looking at is what's after happening to Ireland. It's weird how we see this, actually. It's how little we have to do in Ireland doesn't involve a shop. Think about it. A shop or a pub. When they're all closed, we suddenly have nothing at all to do. We'll have to find different ways of entertaining ourselves. Jerry Wicklow says, says it all really. Sorry, Jerry, I'll read it. Start again. Says it all really. We're queuing up already. Bored. Who, me? Hi, Bob and chat, by the way. Queuing up already. That was sent at 1:45. There was people queuing up this morning at 9:05. I seen a comment from Byron this morning. I think it was about 9:05. He'd just woken up and I had just set up the stream, so he decided he was going to stay in bed till it started. Steve says, so far I'm still working, actually doing overtime. Today is my first day off, back in tomorrow, 7 to 6 all week. Don't know what you do, Steve, but keep safe, man. Keep your hands clean. A word on keeping your hands clean, by the way. If you're washing your hand consistently, this stuff is pretty good. It's just a standard moisture hand cream thing. If you wash your hands a lot, particularly with liquid soap, which very much dries out your hands, ordinary soap, just ordinary plain palm olive soap or whatever, is much easier on your hands and does the exact same job. Actually, probably does a bit of a better job because it has some fats in it. Steve, 2 kids running around here. My wife's working from home, thank God. Work is easier. I have the 2 kids here as well, very quiet. We've been YouTubing and making videos and playing video games. We got to Sega, we were playing that for a bit. I watched Mad Max Fury Road last night after watching Mad Max 2 the night before. I'm going to make a video on the cars of Mad Max 2, so that's coming, because the cars in that are phenomenal. Mad Max 1 has a few cool cars in it, but you know most of them are just ordinary cars. What I want to do is look at Mad Max 2, the cars under that exterior, and then we're going to go at Fury Road. I'll probably do that this week because I've nothing else to do, have I? Jerry Wicklow says, like after Xmas break, we're nearly glad it was an excuse to get away from the outlaws. Yeah, it is good, isn't it? Plus, you know what? You can stand inside your window and look out and point at people and they can't do anything about it. You know, they come to your house, you go, hello, go away, I don't want to talk to you. For those of us who have worked on our own, for the last decade or so, this is easy. This is what I do every day anyway. But for those of you who go out every day to work or do your stuff every day in work, it must be pretty difficult, I have to say. I'm surprised that it's probably pretty hard on you, in fairness. It is Mother's Day. Now, mothers are wives, lads, who've had kids. Mothers, okay? Those mothers have mothers. My mother's mother, unfortunately, both myself and my wife's mothers are both passed away, so we don't have that sort of pressure on us. Although we can go and visit the mother all we want. She can't get coronavirus, right? That's very dark, isn't it? Anyway, Steve Vossi says, I dropped a box of sweets on the mother-in-law's doorstep yesterday, rang the bell and done a runner. Best Mother's Day ever. It's good, isn't it? You know, no small talk, no nothing. Although I did see people yesterday, when I was off a run yesterday, it was people standing across the road from someone sitting in a car, and they were talking away to one another, having a long conversation just from like 4 meters away, which is pretty cool. You should keep your distance, by the way. Ireland's doing very well. We had a small rise yesterday, but it was actually down on the day before. Expected to go up from here, to be honest with you, but I don't think it's going to go up as fast as other countries have done. I think we're doing pretty good on the social distancing because we don't like to be social around each other, stand around talking to one another. Older people and kind of teenagers seem to have the biggest problem. don't think my cat has ever seen flies before, because it's praying in the backyard, jumping on things that are just flying about. They're just flies though. Anyway, afternoon, Bob and all. Looking forward to listening to something different from wall-to-wall COVID-19 news for 2 hours. That's exactly, everybody's refreshing their stream and refreshing their feeds and going, oh my god, it's terrible. It's not actually that terrible. But car companies, you will find a delay. If you've ordered a car in the last few weeks and it was expected to come in, say, August or something, expect delays. That's definitely going to happen. The other part I wanted to just mention as well is a few days ago, I put up a video of the Hyundai Ioniq Electric. A car I deeply hate because it drives weird and it doesn't feel nice and I don't fit in it properly. It's quite small in the cabin and there's lots of things wrong with it. That happens, I think, every reviewer at some point or another. You don't hit it off with whatever it is you're reviewing. It could be a camera, it could be a phone, it could be a computer, it could be a car, whatever it is. So we just don't hit it off. So I don't tend to hold back though. If I don't like it, I don't like it. And it's easy then to gauge that's that. I don't stand there telling you all the best parts of it. And I don't think these electric car reviews should start out with, this is a 38 kilowatt hour battery. I don't think they don't need to start out with that anymore. You know, we know that. It's electric. So what? Deadly. Is it a good car? One of the comments which baffled me was, these electric cars are meant to be boring. I don't get that solution at all. This is a €40,000 car, 35,000 if you want to take the 5,000 euros grants and the other 5,000 euros, all that sort of stuff off it. But essentially they're around 40 grand to buy these cars, and they should be the one car in the world that isn't boring. Really, seriously, it should be actually very exciting, because it's quite easy to make an electric car exciting, right? But it struck me that I read back through the people told me to boil my head, people made insults, and it just became very weird. And I thought, if this was an internal combustion engine car, no one would be doing this. No one. You get a guy coming on going, I thought it was the greatest car ever, and then just move on, because I think there's more maturity about the guys who like IC engine cars. I do, but I also like electric cars. I like what they do. I like what electric cars do, but they shouldn't be boring. But having said that, I'm not personally criticising your car. I might be personally criticising what you say about your car. You say it's a great car, and I go, well, you're entitled to opinion, but it's wrong. It's still my opinion. Opinions are good. You should be seeking out opinions, and I don't believe the freedom of the press in Ireland is quite free. We're allowed to say whatever we want to say, pretty much, within reason, within liable reason. But pretty much you can say whatever you want. And I think you should be seeking out and encouraging journalists out there to have an opinion, because a lot of them don't. I read 2 articles this morning on a website called Clean Technica. Is that what it's called? Yeah, Clean Technica. One of them was the break-even point of electric cars. So at what point in life, it's a current, it just appeared on my feed this morning. At what point does it make no sense to buy a petrol or diesel engine cars? Seemingly, the author said it's pretty much now, right? I don't agree with that. Depends on the grants, pretty much. Look at Norway. Norway's electric car sales have fallen through the floor now, because everyone's bought one. So stop buying them. That's it. It's a great place. Everybody held it up going, wow, look at Norway, it's doing electric cars. Everybody bought one now, so that's the end of that. But the other article was criticising the European Car of the Year, which I may say I have nothing to do with. I know some of the jurors, but I don't know. I don't have any influence whatsoever over European Car of the Year. One article about electric cars was like, yeah, this is okay. We're all okay with that. Yeah, that's fine. Electric cars are cool. Electric cars are this. Electric cars are brilliant. I'm looking forward to it. The other one was like personally insulting to certain journalists on the other scale of it. Like, there just seems to be no marry between the two. You know? You're either fantastically, brilliantly into electric, or you completely and utterly despise everything I see. And I don't get why people can't see there's a bit between the two. There's a bit going on between the two that's important to encourage everybody through. And I think the more ferocious your answer to electric cars, the more times you go onto a website and you answer all the questions and you're telling people how bad or you're linking your video, how it's criticizes some other video. The more you do that, the more you put people off the whole idea of electric cars. You're not helping anyone. You're not helping the conversation. You're not being good about it. You're just looking after your own ideas. Anyway, good God, there's a lot of you here. Click the like button, please. Please click the like button if you can find the like button on the screen. I know it kind of disappears off on some. I have an Android phone as well as an iPhone, and on the Android phone it disappears sometimes. It's just not there. No like, no subscribe, no nothing. It's kind of weird. D-Easel. Can't pronounce that. He says, blimey, you made it on time. Good man. Martin C is here. Glad to have you. Colin Foley's here. Peter Cupid is here. And Colin Whelan is here. Well, lads, hope all C19 kept away from the doors. I had to be careful because last week's Sunday service was demonetized by YouTube because I kept talking about COVID-19. And I wasn't giving any advice on it. I'm just talking about it. We were just all talking about it because it's the bloody news topic. But anyway, so I have to be careful how often I mention it. Or something like that. I don't know. Picture's good. That's good. Picture's fine. Everyone's audio is good. Audio is fine. I can see nothing here. All I can see is error card. Please try again later. And I'm the one doing stream. Eric Watford is here. Graham Miranda is here. Good man. Stuart, hi Bob. If you remember S6 I was talking about, yeah, S6. I didn't buy it, but my brother did, and wow, what a car. See, you lost out to your brother now. Your brother has one up on you now, forever. He bought the S6. S6 is a brilliant car, great sleeper car. If you debadge it, no one will know it's an S6, only the driver and people who know what you're looking at, obviously. On the other side of that, the RS6, which is a faster, I'm not going to say it's a much better car, but it's a faster car for sure. Well, that looks like an RS6. Debadged or not, people will know it's not just an ordinary A6, whereas the S6 looks like an A6 in all respects, and then suddenly you've got this speed to go with it. Picture good all morning from the US is ET Flyer. Everyone can see and hear. That's good. There's the first jump forward out today. Smurf says, I'm working the main dealer and our boss isn't taking any safety precautions at all with customer cars. He won't even let us dispose of gloves after working on each customer's cars. Well, you know, everybody has to get a license at the end of this, and I'd be the same with a pub who won't close. I drew the attention of some bookies up to town the other day who were still open while I was passing through, and crowds of people going in and out of them. I might have shamed them into closing, actually, in fairness. But anyway, you know, anything that can move online should be moving online. Any car company or any dealership that encourages customers to walk into a place or has customers' cars in the place must have them disinfected. I didn't swap cars last week because it wasn't in place to be able to disinfect the car, so we all held on to our cars. I'm swapping cars on Monday or Tuesday this week, going into a Passat. But I've been talking to the place that's swapping them over. They're disinfecting, they're swapping. They've got a place they can do some social distancing from and still be inside. There's so many things car companies can do if they want, and dealerships. It's vitally important we all stay away from each other. It's vitally important we wash our hands and stay healthy, as healthy as we can be. Be very careful. When you're sitting at home like this, biscuits and crisps and snacks and stuff, you just eat them all the time. I know what it's like. It's terrible. That's why I started running again, in fairness, because I'm gaining weight. Driving around your own self-isolating, it is, yeah. If you're inside the car, you're not getting out, yeah, it's fine. To the best of my knowledge, and according to the HSE website, there's the way that this is transmissible is if someone coughs on you, sneezes on you, or you come in contact with someone who has coughed and sneezed on you. Breathing in and out is not transmitting it, okay? Just go to the HSE website or CDC website or the WHO website. All of them have links to tell you exactly what causes this, exactly what's going to come out of this, how you get it and how you avoid it. All of them do it. So this is general knowledge I'm talking about. So just be careful where you're getting your... Don't look at some dude on Twitter who says, you know, when you're breathing on me, I'm going to get sick. Don't do that. Go off and find out for yourself. Can't pronounce your name. Rembig31. Martin C. Good man. What do you think will happen to car prices? They'll plummet. Also, in good news that I just got a few minutes ago, and I have to thank Barry Aldridge. He emails me absolutely every Sunday morning. And I never ever really get a chance to put out much about it, because it's usually something to do with the AA, because he's emailing on behalf of the AA. Anyway, but I thought this morning is really good news for you guys, for me guys, not for electric car boys, but for everybody else who drives an ICE engine cars or PHEVs or anything else. Fuel prices have collapsed amid the coronavirus outbreak, which is really good. So the average price of everything has an upside, you know. The average price of petrol in Ireland currently is 126.5. which is a decrease of 15 cent on last month. Now, this is average price. So, I mean, you might find it cheaper in your area. And last price, average price was 141.9. It's now 126. I don't see diesel. Where's the diesel? Oh yeah, diesel drivers cost 16 cent in the last month. Current level of €1.16.9 for a litre of diesel. So that's a very good price. I would suggest it's probably not going to go down much further from that. We do have swings, and but right now there's a number of factors that's actually pushing those prices. It's not just coronavirus. It's also the Saudi Arabians have fallen out of bed with the Russians. And the Russians have gone, we're not doing this. We're not going to have the Seven Sisters no more. We're going to sit back and do our own thing. And so the Saudi Arabians have decided to make enough oil and to sell it at near cost price. Not cost price, but to discount the thing massively, which has driven down the cost of fuel from Saudi Arabia. But to compete with Saudi Arabia, the Americans have dropped their price, the Russians dropped their price, and the winner is us, the consumer. Finally, we get something for ourselves. You can also get this by way on podcast. It went out this morning. Last week's episode would come out today. It comes out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean. There's some other crowd that picked it up as well. It's been syndicated. It goes out all over the place now. It comes out all over the place. And it comes out just like this, raw. I put a little top to it, just an intro to tell you what it's all about. But other than that, it comes out just live. Operator Hoot says, I reckon your man on Twitter has about a month or less Ionic, and he's venting about taking over for a crap ride. Yeah, well, everybody's got an opinion on a car. I don't mind people having an opinion. It's when they take it sort of personally, or when they come back at you and tell you don't know what you're talking about, or you're stupid, or whatever. I don't understand that point of view, because everybody has a point of view. Somebody pointed out some other review about a man and a woman. I can't remember, Kate and something. Anyway, I watched a bit of it, and I couldn't watch more than 2 or 3 minutes, but it was like glowing, gushing nearly. And I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that opinion either. I don't disagree with it. If that's their opinion, that's fine. If I watch Robert Llewellyn, he gushes. Oh yes, that's right, of course, that's the best thing to do. Oh yeah, of course, yeah. Oh yeah, well, there's no other way to do it. Of course, you obviously power that by fairy dust or something. There's never a critical idea of the thing they're being told is wrong. It's, car companies lie, lads. That's just life. Marketing people make it up. Guinness is good for you. It's made up. Of course it's not bloody good for you. A pint every once in a while is not going to kill you, but of course it's not good for you, so they have to stop saying it. People make stuff up. Marketing companies make stuff up. I saw a review the other day. I won't say who it was, but if you watched it, you know what it is. So none of us are travelling at the moment. None of us can go places to get reviews to do it. And so the Audi A3 launch was cancelled. The Skoda Octavia was cancelled. They're all cancelled. And what one YouTuber did was got all the press releases, all the photographs, and made up a review without ever driving it or seeing it in the flesh or in the metal. You can't do that. Just can't. You can't assume how things are going to work out. Anyway. Annie McAfee says, UK went with Gov paying 80% of persons pay up to $2,500 a month, and employers to pay a remaining 20% as long as they keep them on their books. Starts tomorrow, and I'm in all week. That's a tough one. Hopefully we'll have the same sort of system down here. There is a grant coming in from the EU which should help. Please think of all our nurses, paramedic, medical staff working through it to fight it. Panic buying must stop. Paramedic, medical staff, friends finishing 14-hour shifts with no food left to buy after. That's a good words there, Mark Turner-Smith, but I have to give a shout out to the people who work in Lidl, Aldi, Duns and Tesco and Super Value, who go to work every morning. They have not been provided PPE equipment from the start. They're there every day. They still get paid the same amount of money, apart from the Tesco staff got some extra. They're still getting paid the same amount of money. They still put up with all the crap that comes in through the door, running out of stuff. And you know what? They still smile for you every day when they're taking their money. I'm going to put my hand on heart now and say that those guys are doing an exceptional job as well. We can think about the service staff, the HSE and the NHS staff and all that stuff, they're doing an exceptional job, but these guys never really get an old mention. There's Caroline Kidd. Hey Bob, stuck in beautiful Wexford looking out at a new Mazda CX-30. Good car, actually, Mazda CX-30. Drove that a while ago. It's surprisingly firm in places, but other than that, it's a pretty good car. But Mazda's always firm. Mazda always goes for the sporty rides. You know, the Mazda 6, the 3. Every time you go to a press conference for Mazda, every time, you could be going for an off-road SUV. They will undoubtedly mention the Mazda MX-5 every time, which is kind of funny. But it's pretty good. But yeah, the MX or CX is very good. Caroline Kidd is another motor journalist here in Ireland and has her own channel called Changing Lanes right here on YouTube. And also, you should check out her website because she has the best SEO in the world. Whenever you Google anything in Ireland about cars, it comes up on Caroline's website. It's deadly. And we're meant to be making a video at some point in the future, but now we have social distancing, so we have to make a distance video. Daza is here. Thanks, Daza. Andy Tierney. Toyota Ireland has closed, but parts still open, but they still have me working. Do they, Andy? Andy, tell them I said you to stop working, Andy. To go home, put your feet up and relax. Take it easy. We'll see how that turns out. But yeah, Toyota Ireland is cancelled. I am fortunately picking up my press cars in all the same places all the time for the next few weeks, as long as we don't get full lockdown thing. I should be able to continue with the reviews. I have a few reviews videoed, and I have a few ideas for videos in case I've run out of them, so we'll see. There'll be always something coming out anyway. Where was I? Oh yeah, Daza. Andy McPhee, that UK job pay policy is good. Just get back to normal, maybe August. August is a long way off, lads. We should be looking to try and get this conquered here in 3-4 weeks. I mean, to get to a point where we're all starting to get back to work and back to business as quick as possible. Really, it's very important that we keep on moving forward all the time. That's an email. It sounds threatening, doesn't it? I changed my email tone, and it's funny because it comes in like that now. And everybody turns around and goes, what the hell kind of message was that? Just an email. It's okay. I got some donations. Thank you very much. John Coleman, the most regular donator of all time. Every single week, John puts in money. And it's his birthday the other day. Eric Rochford, you're very generous. Thank you very much. I'm looking at something else here. Someone else wants a shout out, but that looks like it's a sponsored shout out. Don't think we do a sponsored shout out. That's not how things work around here. I'm sorry. Unless you're going to pay me a hell of a lot of money. I'm very expensive. No, I'm not. TS says you can still drive out in your car as long as you don't get out and mix with other people. You can still go out. You can still go to the shop. So how we've been doing it, right, is we make a list, a very tight list. One of us goes to the shop with the shopping bags. We go straight there. We bring little disinfectant things. Now, Aldi does have disinfectant in the hall. So we go straight to the shop, get a shopping trolley. We don't dilly-dally. We move around the shop as quick as we can, put everything into the thing. We keep gloves on us. We go to the counter, we pay, and we pay by tap. So you can pay by Revolut, or you can pay by tapping your card or whatever it is, and we get the hell out of there straight away. There's no dilly-dallying in the shop whatsoever. But outside in the street, you're fine. There's very, very little chance of anything being transmitted in the street unless you're standing within that 1.5-2 meters distance and they cough all over you. That's how you're going to get it, okay? Just remember that. It transmits just the same as any other flu. Bob, Blessington Lakes car park is full. What happened to social distancing? They've closed them, Daza. I got that. I got a release this morning. Asked me to mention that it is now closed up around Wicklow. Slieve Blue Mountain car park on the, I think it's the far side of it. I think there's only one car park that's closed in Slieve Blue. I believe someone fell there the other day and the ambulance couldn't get into it. People are just looking for something to do to pass the time, and I don't blame them. You know, people think about, what do you do when you're bored? You go to the beach, you play football out the front with the kids, you do something. But now you can't do anything. There's nothing to do. You can't go anywhere, you can't do anything. It's terrible. You may just get a load of blue sky out there today. Just go out in the backyard and just lie down. But Blessington is closed, so don't go up there. Raymond Grace, hi Bob, collected a garden metal arch made by Dennis Delaney near the Midway. Great workmanship and very, very cheap. Well, it was good, but reasonably priced. Don't say cheap. Don't say cheap when you're talking about something. Cheap means different things, different people, right? But yeah, okay, Raymond Grace got his garden metal arch made by Dennis Delaney. So there, now Midway. Don't know what all that means. I'm sure that's some sort of a shout out people wanted there, but is that the shout out you're talking about here? No. JD competitions. Oh, by the way, I've had a few of these emails, right? If you're getting an email with my face on it that says you could win a car or something, I've nothing to do with that. Absolutely nothing. I don't do anything with raffles, cars, nothing. Giving away stuff like that, you will always hear it here first. Ask me on social media. Ask me straight to me. Tons of contacts for me. So if you ever come across something that says me and I'm endorsing it, it's very unlikely unless someone's out to give me a gigantic amount of money. And I can be sure it's actually someone going to win it. Caroline Kidd said, it's so tough for us self-employed journalists, Bob. I have zero income now and no cars to renew. My mortgage is at stake. This is unfortunately this is what happened. Definitely sign up to the welfare website, get onto your local TD, get onto local anything, because next week they're going to come out with a pile of new stuff and they're going to forget us again. The same freelancey thing is going to be just forgotten about in the middle of it, as if we don't matter. I literally talked to all the UK journalists. I've talked to a lot of the Irish journalists, freelance guys. We're all in exactly the same boat. All of a sudden, all income has gone to zero, and that is a big problem. Lots of people had pre-sold a lot of their articles, and they never got to make them. Lots of people have taken time off to go to do their travel, to go to different events and different things. Their whole year planned out, and they can't do it. Hopefully, within the next couple of weeks, we get back to normal. I don't think we'll ever get back to normal, but get back to some sort of useful stuff. Daza says, hope the Irish government can do the same. Anyway, yeah. Ironically, we've developed this all tech to be together, yet not physically be together. This is true, David McCarthy. You're absolutely right. We have never had so many ways of staying in touch by not seeing one another. So just remember that. FaceTime or whatever the Google alternative that is, Google, Hangouts or something. Use them. Get a hold of people around you. Talk to people around you. Create a WhatsApp group. Don't share anything stupid in it, but create a WhatsApp group for your local environment, your local estate, or wherever you live. Do that. You had that one. Crazy dog. Oh, how are you, Bob? So glad you're live today. There you are. I can pass a couple of hours for you. We'll pass another hour and a half or so. But should we stick around till everyone's answered all the questions? This is always the way. Robert Mulhall, hi Bob. Not even allowed to leave their home over here in Spain. Day 8. I know it's tough. I've been watching the news on Spain, on Italy. Looks like Germany is not doing so well either, in fairness. It's landmass, of course, all the bits together. And Spain is such a big country. We should keep an eye on those kind of countries, because like China seems to be coming out of it. If we can believe everything China says, they seem to be coming out of it. South Korea is the same. Japan, it never really got hold of Japan by the looks of things, which is pretty good as well. So it's moving. It seems to be moving west, because we were the last ones in Europe to try and start really getting going on it. And now it's gone over to America, it's really taken hold over there by the looks of things. Caroline Kidd says, can we start a Patreon GoFundMe for the unemployed car journalists? I'm sure we're vitally important to the world. I'd love to. I suppose you can, no matter how well or how hard you look at something like that, it can be very difficult to try and figure it out. I would actually like to create a freelancer sort of union, a representative body for freelancers, particularly because there's a lot of us. There's a lot of freelance journalists, not just in the motor industry. There's an absolute stack of them in the sports industry, which is dead as well. Think of all the sports journalists right now that are out of business completely, because all the sporting events are finished as well. Even the local ones are gone. Every event is now finished. So we're all together, and they're all freelancers as well. An awful lot of them don't make any money unless they're selling articles. We're all in the same boat. So I wouldn't mind actually doing something, not to put pressure on people, but to put pressure on governments to make sure freelancers are looked after. So it's possible that I will do that. We'll see. Jeez, everything's dinging and bonging and whopping on me right now. I got so many funny videos over the last 2 weeks. I can't share 99% of them here, but they are funny. Which is really good. I must forward on some WhatsApps to you. Mini Eggs is here. Garden centres and DIY stores will be next forced to close. I don't know. Yeah, I suppose some of the bigger ones that attract a lot of people with cafes in them should be closed, obviously. But some of the smaller ones, there's some bits that you need to continue to do, like hardware stores. Telford's is still open here in the town, I think. I don't go into it, but I think it's still open. Home base and stuff, they're still open up above, and I think that's because people are painting their houses and their gardens and buying lawnmowers just to pass time. It's funny when you don't go out and you can't go to shops, how little money you spend, number one, and number two, how many other things you find to do. I've never done so many little bits and pieces around the house. Anyway, Alan Nasson, hi, how are you? I'll give you a shout out now. Steve O.C., I'm a bookbinder and we are printing for the pharma companies, so up to our nads. All them ventilators need instructions. Well, it's nothing terribly wrong with that one now, Steve O. I know you'd love to be getting a little cut of that. It won't last forever though, so be careful of that one. Just keep on going to work for as long as you can. Try and stay safe and keep your hands clean and away from your face. Make sure no one's coughing into your mouth. Right? Hellhound. Hey up, Bob and chat. I hope you're well. We are, so far, so good. Shane Russell. Hey Bob, love the channel. Changing my car at the end of the year. Getting an Audi. Would love a diesel, but I'm worried about resale value in 3-year time. Thought. There's two schools of thought on this one, Shane, right? So you can go down the route of the EV enthusiasts and say, well, listen, 3 years time is going to be worth nothing. I don't believe that. I don't believe any car company like Audi or whoever, pick anyone you want, right? Audi, Volkswagen, they're not going to throw you to the wind in 3 years' time, because you will never come. You're not going to buy an electric car off Audi in 3 years' time if they nailed you for the price of your diesel car, right, on a trade-in. You're just not going to buy it, so they're going to lose a pile of money. So I don't think we're going to see the change to electric take effect on the value of diesel for a good 10 years. I really don't. Unless some dramatic law comes in overnight in the government that outlaws diesel entirely, I don't think you're going to see a blind bit of difference. People still need diesels. There's still a point where I'm not prepared to drive from here to Donegal or to Galway or whatever it is and stay there to charge overnight and then drive back. Loads of people don't want to do that. Loads of guys that I know and contact me regularly, fleet guys who go out and drive cars all day long, dropping off and taking sales calls and going in and out of businesses all day. They don't go near a charge point. So they can't go electric. They have to be diesel. So I just don't see that future that's going to be a problem. I think if you want an Audi and you want an Audi diesel, get an Audi diesel. It's going to be fine. Dazza says, Bob, 4 dealers in Dublin are 0% APR loans on all new and used cars. That is the time to take advantage. 0% is good. Now, is there anything else in there that you need to know about? So 0% is the headline. If the headline is there, what's the terms and conditions of that? So you may be restricted on mileage. You may be restricted on trade-in value. You may be restricted on which one of the cars are there. You might want a Fiesta, but it's not on that. It's 2.5% or 3%, something else. I think the EU is probably going to change their interest rate in the near future downwards, because the EU is now in deep shit, and it'll go down 0.25% or something. It'll be tiny, but I think it'll change how we do finance as well. So remember that very soon we're going to see the financial result of this coronavirus, as well as what car companies are falling into. But 0% is very good. If you can get 0% finance on anything, because that means if something is 20 grand, you pay 20 grand finance. You don't pay any interest. None whatsoever. Sorry, drinking coffee there. Crazy Dog says, to make electric cars exciting, just pull a Tesla and turn the car into an iPad. Well, actually, some electric cars are okay to drive, and some of them can be quite fun to drive. Model S is actually pretty fun to drive. It's a little bit firm, a little bit weird, but it's actually quite fun to drive. I don't mean the 0 to 60, and that wears thin very quickly. Model 3 is quite nice to drive. It's not great. Its steering wheel is a bit too light. You don't get enough information back from the wheels to make it anyway sort of fun. Kia e-Soul is fun, but not because it's good to drive, just because it's a fun kind of weird car. It's like you're going to fall out of seats when you're driving around corners and stuff. It's quite light as well. Jaguar I-Pace is a deadly car to drive. That's great fun, but now that's serious money. And Audi e-tron, Mercedes EQC, both of them are really good to drive, really nice. But those cars are on one end of a scale. The other end of the scale is the Hyundai Ioniq. I was going to say something else there, but I won't. Hair Bras, BRAHS, don't think there. The whole EV thing has turned into a cult, very politicised. I think that too. There was very much a feeling of cult on that video when I put it out, because I didn't like it. Because I wasn't saying what they wanted to hear, there was certain individuals who spent their whole time answering comments from other people, telling them how bad I was, or how bad I reviewed it, or how much I like ICE engines, or he's only into V8. There was individuals who were strategically going through each of the comments to find the people who were agreeing with me or were on my side, and getting onto them. And I just thought, how much time are you spending doing that? Like, what's the point? It doesn't really matter. It certainly did my algorithm work for me, which is brilliant, because the more comments you get on a video, the more YouTube presents it to people, the more YouTube gives it to people. It doesn't matter what the comments are, whether they're negative or positive. It just goes on. But there is a point in your mind where it gets in your head going, did I miss something here? Am I after missing something? Am I wrong on the torsion beam? Or am I wrong on something? But I wasn't. Guess what? I was right. Anyway, Mark Turner Smith says, a video on the Mad Max cool cars. Love the Life on Mars and Ashes to Ashes series. Both brilliant series on cars and music of the times. Had an 85 Audi, was meant to be an 82 model, only error. Oh, right. But yeah, Mad Max cars. I was sitting down watching all the Mad Max movies over the last while, from 1 to 4. And I actually have the Mad Max game upstairs as well on PC, which is actually a pretty good game, but has, well, I won't say nothing to do. It has a very troubled birth to do with Mad Max Fury Road. It's not them. It wasn't made by the same company, but yeah, it was made by Warner Bros. But the cars in it are quite interesting. The V8, the Ford Falcon, and all those other cars that are in it that are still alive today. Still, you're not going to find any more of them, but they're still alive, still going, and still out there. There's actually a Mad Max museum near Broken Hill that was opened by a guy from England. Weirdly, I always thought that was kind of weird that he came all the way from England to open a Mad Max museum. Just checking my emails here, making sure I'm not missing anybody. I hate when I miss somebody. I hate when I'm after saying something online I didn't do. You can support this channel if you want to, by the way, but under current guise, any support that comes in today will be given to a charity when one is set up to do with the coronavirus here in Ireland. So whatever you give today, I'm going to give away to charity. And we'll make a donation on your behalf for the relief funds of something. There's no charity currently right now that is directly for coronavirus people in Ireland, but I will certainly find one. Don't worry. I'm moving back up through the list now because it's after hopping forward on me, and I don't know where I'm back to go. Oh yeah, there's the DIY one. That's still open. Oh yeah, here we go. Robert's Timelapse says it's mad because 67 years ago, when you tested a manual BMW 5 Series for €44,000 and that heap of poo, aka Hyundai Ioniq, for 40 grand, like what the hell? You're right. Cars have gotten more expensive. So that's one thing. Cars have actually gone up in price through taxes, through greed, through a lot of things, and then they threw in the electric cars and made them very expensive, and people bought them. You know, if no one bought electric cars, they would have went down in price. Does everybody understand how the world works? Like, if you have a product, hand cream, and you put it on the market for £4, nobody buys it. You find ways of making it £3, and then some people will buy it, and then you make it $2.50 and more people buy it, then you make it $1.99 and suddenly it's sold out. So that's how you find your price for a product in the market. But what happened was electric cars came out and everybody went, electric cars save the world, save the planet, save everything. Then they mine it out of the ground from the Congo or from China. They get all their batteries, they put it all into the thing, they make it expensive. They say batteries are expensive. They put them on the market. People buy them and they go, oh, guess what? The new price of electric cars is 40 grand. So that's what happened to ID3. Think about when the ID3 was going to be launched. We're talking about the people's version of the electric car. We're going to make it affordable. What price about it? 40 grand, because that's what everyone else is charging. So, you know, you get what you pay for. You got to see. You got to watch the market to understand how you are being hustled by the market. You're not going to save the planet by buying an electric car. The best way to save the planet is to recycle everything you've got, stop using plastic, and drive the car you have until it falls asunder. Definitely, because every new car that's made causes much more environmental havoc than keeping a car on the road forever. Sorry, I know you environmentalists probably won't like me for that one, but that's just the truth. It's the truth behind the whole thing. It's my truth, but it's the truth as well. Eric Watcher says, refreshing to see the Ioniq video, call it as it is, which is what we need to hear. Getting fed up now with the biased reviews and channels. Fairly obvious who's sponsored by who at this stage. Yeah, and then there's other people who aren't sponsored, but they're afraid that they won't get any more cars if they say something bad about a car. So every car is good. Every new tech, like if you sit down and you look at Robert Llewellyn's Fully Charged, right? That's got a whole cult to itself. If you watch 3 or 4 of those videos back to back, there's never a negative edge. Never. They go to visit something and the guy's out to make an electric boat, or another fella's out to make an electric car, built his own car to back. There's never a moment where they say, but why didn't you do it this way? Why didn't you do it that way? Why isn't this more efficient? It's only when they don't get their own way that they suddenly find a way of twisting it in. But everything is good. So even if 2 videos contradict each other, even if one video says this is the best way of doing that, and then new information comes along and they make a different video and says this is the best way of doing that, they just leave both videos up. They don't ever criticize themselves. That's not journalism. That's reporting. That's reporting with an opinion. You know what I mean? That's something else. Maybe some people won't understand this. So a journalist is someone who gathers all the information and makes a judgment call. Has an opinion. That's what a journalist is. They get all the information they can get, they figure it out, then they formulate an opinion and they publish it. Then you have a reporter. So a reporter has no opinions. They don't come up with an opinion. They don't say this is the best or the worst way of doing something. They just report the facts. So a court reporter doesn't say that someone's guilty or innocent. They just give you all of the facts and then you make up your own mind. That's a journalist. That's a reporter, right? Then there's columnists. So a columnist tends to be someone who's just an opinion on a particular subject. That's a columnist. A contributor is someone who just contributes a report they're not employed directly by the outlet. They're a kind of freelancer. They're a contributor to it. And then you have a correspondent. And a correspondent is someone who is an expert in a topic but doesn't work directly for a publication. So I'm a correspondent for Midlands 103. I work for them, but I'm a contractor to them. So I'm on a contract exterior. I don't work in a building. I'm self-employed and I work for them separately. So they're all the different things. Technically, I'm a car reviewer, not really a journalist in that respect. It's not really sitting down and trying to give you the most accurate, perfect information. I review cars from a point of view of whether I like them or not. That's an opinion. That's how opinions work. But a lot of channels are sponsored, a lot of channels aren't sponsored, a lot of channels just want to keep getting free cars, and that's not fair either on a lot of people out there. Martin Cleary, hi Bob, greetings from Belfast. Let's get back to cars. I'm thinking of buying a used Nissan Leaf. I've done the mileage thing and I'm well inside the range. But which one was battery size? I would go the more say 2017 Nissan Leaf. It's not bad. It's the newer shape of it. And it has the slightly bigger battery, not the long range one. Don't forget about long range. Even the word long range doesn't make any sense for any of them, right? Ioniq or Nissan Leaf or any of those kind of cars, because we have this problem of not, like, you could put in the double amount of batteries but still not get double the range. Nowhere near it, not even close. So if you can make the original size battery of the 2016, I think it came out in 2016, 2017. The newer shape one, anyway, the first one's of those, that would be the one to go for, because it'll have all of the good stuff in it and you're not worrying about having a long range battery or otherwise. Simple as that. Hitstar says, present, good man, Hitstar, good to have you. David McCarthy, that's a good point. EVs will last much longer, so after we reach a certain saturation point, we won't need a new model brought out every year, or at that point, fewer will own a car, just hire one. That will happen, yeah, for sure. We are getting to a stage where it will be much cheaper, particularly people who live in a city or an apartment environment. Like I talked to a lovely family in France once upon a time for an interview thing I did. Not for here, just that it was an interview. And they lived in city centre, Paris, essentially. You could see, the house is ancient, but you could see from their apartment, you could see the Eiffel Tower. It was just over there. And they've had a private apartment for generations, never owned a car, never once owned a car. And what they did was they rent out a car every weekend and they drive down to their country house and they have their little country getaway for the weekend and come back on a Sunday and hand back the car. Everything else is done on foot or by bus. But in Dublin or Cork or Galway, it's much harder to do that. The bus services are a bit crap. The Lewis is a bit full and it's got horses on it, and it's just people. Just looks awful. Coming in that red line is dangerous. Like, it's just terrible. But you can make it work if you really try hard. You really can. You can have that in that point of where you're not buying a car. You can rent a car, but only if your mileage is up to a certain level. Redman Tech says, just call it Illness 19. That's a good one. We'll call it Illness 19 from now on, right? Annie McAfee says, YouTube have been savage on Corona and COVID content. Just change it to another name and say it instead. Seems to work well, that bug. It's not savage. What they want to do is they don't want to encourage people. They don't want to pay people to give out the wrong information. This is the problem with YouTube. People get the idea in their mind that they're going to talk about whatever they want to talk about. And they start talking. They make their little video. They put it out even if it's not properly researched. You know? So it's they want to discourage that, so they don't monetize content that is about the Illness 19. Caroline Kidd says, I picked up the Ioniq EV press car during the week, and Hyundai offered me a weekend break in the Dunlow Hotels and Gardens if I made a favour review of the Ioniq. That, I would suggest, is probably a lie. That would definitely not be Caroline Kidd talking like that, by the way. Am I sure that's Caroline Kidd? Andy McAfee will sort it, I'm sure. Keep an eye on that. That may not be Caroline Kidd. Could be someone impersonating her, because that would definitely not happen. Hyundai would not offer that kind of thing to do with anybody. And if they did, there's no journalist going to talk about it. Daza. Well said, Mark Turner-Smith on panic buying, said a reference affecting medical staff is true. Bob, I'm wiping grocery packet down with a Milton liquid. Not a bad idea. You can get little wipes, even baby wipes, anything that can cleanse. Baby wipes are an amazing thing if you ever want to get away with a bit of it. Dazza says, hi Caroline Kidd, I liked your review of the VW Golf GTE. Not sure it is her anymore. I have a feeling that was an odd comment. Glad that a medical doctor, Leo, as a leader and not Boris. Yeah, well, Leo wasn't exactly favoured last month, in fairness, when he had his election and he took the 9 counts or something to get himself elected. So, he's a popular chap, but he's not that popular. Right now, he's doing a good job. Right now, he's done the right thing so far. Simon Coveney elected as well. They're doing the right thing, making good progress, but I'm just not sure of the future of that group, whether they've made the right decision on to be able to lock down places. And you have to watch what they're able to do, and in times of emergency, you have to be very careful what they're doing. This morning I noticed that on Twitter, I retweeted it actually. If you're on Twitter, you can find my tweets, and it is still being retweeted at the moment. We have 2,243 vacant beds in Ireland right now that sick people can occupy. It's funny how we've gone through years of not being able to get enough beds anywhere in Ireland, and we have this constant emergency. My mother spent 48 hours on a trolley. My wife last year spent 36 hours on a trolley with an appendicitis, and yet right now within a week we can magic up 2,500 beds and empty out ICU wards. It's we got to be careful who's doing what to who out there, lads, because someone's pulling the wool over someone else's eyes in that one. Mark Atkinson says, will residual prices reduce as a result? Is that a result of the outbreak? Will dealers look to move stock on or try to ride it out? They'll ride it out. No one is going to dealerships at the moment. My sources say to me that the dealerships are basically empty, and people are selling things over the phone, and it's mostly the service department is staying open. No one's going to buy a car, so they're going to have to ride it out. Realistically, you're going to have to ride this one out. We don't know where it's going, but remember, the whole world is in this. It's not just us, not just Ireland. The whole world is in that moment of being stuck like this and not knowing where to go, what to do, and jobs will be lost. Industries will be finished. This is just life now for the moment. We'll get back to normal eventually, but not right now. Dave McCarthy says, with EV and the lack of emissions regulations, might the US finally get some of the cool cars Europe has? No. The US market is a very strange market, because from outside the US we count it as one great big country, because that's what they put out. The mighty US, the US Army, they put out this idea of one big county or one big country, but actually the subset of each county, as you might put it, we call them counties, but I'm talking about like Wyoming, New York, all these places. They're all so different from one another. They've all got different tastes and flavors and stuff. So it's a weird place for car sales to actually take place. So it's an odd place, but it's an odd country because it sounds like one big country until you're actually there. Then it's broken up in these millions of other little countries. Johnny Dobb has landed, was here earlier on as well. Afternoon, Bob and lads, lovely weather. Out to be messing with the car, just keep away from me, yeah? That's the same as me. Stand across the road, don't talk to me. I was out washing the Jeep the other day. I have a Mitsubishi L200, incredibly capable vehicle. Not terribly comfortable, but very, very capable. And I went out to wash it because I'd made it manky after driving up Sleep Blue Mountains for a video. And a fellow was walking by and he goes, nice going. Yeah, that's great. Just talk to me from over there, from over the other side. So he'd stand across the road talking to me. Zdenko, hi Bob, what's better? Honda CR-V hybrid or Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV? Thanks. So Outlander PHEV is probably the most economical of those two, and it's a really capable car. It's a proper four-wheel drive. It's a Mitsubishi. The interior, though, however, is a little bit, cheap. Not cheap. Basic. Sort of, it's not like a retail interior. It's more like a commercial interior. CR-V has a nicer sort of retail feel to it. But I don't get on well with Honda's interiors. I just don't. Their infotainment system is kind of, I don't know, it looks like something that came out of the 80s. It drives kind of funny. Out of those two, I would pick a Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV. It's got like 3 engines, an incredible car, and you can power it any kind of way. CR-V hybrid is just a hybrid. It's not PHEV. Autocars says, hi Bob. Autocars. How do I know Autocars? I know Autocars from somewhere. Don't I subscribe to you somewhere? Anyway, he says, Tesco Ireland has announced a backdated bonus pay rate of 10% for all staff during a crisis back to 9th to the 3rd, 20. That's true. Good. That's good. I'm glad to hear that. I think they deserve it. The Lidl, Aldi, Tesco, Dunn, Super Value staff have all stayed. Those shops have stayed open. Even from the very first day of the crisis, of people running into shops and buying 10,000 rolls of toilet paper. I hope you're happy. Whoever bought all the toilet paper, I hope you're happy with it. I didn't buy any. I still have enough. It's fine. But anyway, they deserve it. I'd like to see them continue doing what to do, but I'd like to see the company, instead of putting 10% in their pay packet, to issue them all gloves and masks and ways of washing your hands and stuff. To be careful. That should all happen as well. Octavia's just reviewed here. I saw it yesterday. Octavia's just reviewed by who? Because no one's driven it, unless you were in Greece and you drove it, because that's where it was launched, in Crete. So unless you're from Crete, then that's the only way I would have driven it. So if they got a review out, it's lies. Sorry. There will be a launch of the Octavia eventually, and I will be at it. It just won't happen in the very near future. It might be put back for months. So right now there's no one. My God, look how many people. You must have nothing better to do, have you, than watch me. 249 people watching this very second. Thank you very much. Subscribe. That's all you got to do. That's it. Subscribe. Maybe hit a like button if you want to. You can do that too if you think it's good. You can donate as well if you like. There's links down below if you really fancy doing that. That's good too. PayPal, Patreon, all those kind of ways. I still don't know how to pronounce it. I don't do much research on these sort of things. I don't know how to pronounce Patreon. I also signed up for an eBay thing, and I don't know why I bothered send that. I signed up for eBay. My kids wanted some sort of marker thing because they do cartoons. I'll show you. They make cartoons. See. They do all their little characters and things. I can't find all their cartoon stuff. They're really, really good at the cartoon stuff. So I've got these things called markers, and they're really hard to get. I can only get them off eBay, but because I search for Oohoo markers on eBay, I get an email every single day going, there's another listing of Oohoo markers. Dave McCarthy's a very generous person. Thank you very much. Support for these strange times, he says. You're very kind. Thank you very much. PayPal is on the go today, which is really good. There are links underneath this video to support as well, but obviously look after yourself first. Anything that comes in today will be donated to whatever charity I can find that directly supports people. Maybe people who are out of work, or people during the coronavirus thing, or I don't know what, but I'll figure it out. One of them will get a donation from all of us today. Mark Turner Smith says, very true, Bob. Also shout out for the supermarket staff who put up a lot of rubbish, sort of forgotten about far PPE, etc. It's true, yeah. Jerry Bow. Hi Bob, fellow Leashman, love the channel. Just wondered, do you know how to cover a few cars insurance wise? Cheapest way to do it, thanks. You can't. In this country, insurance companies, because I've tried this, because I have multiple cars. No, I don't mean multiple cars of my own, but I have press cars and I have my own car as well. And we're thinking about getting another car. So we're actually thinking about getting an electric car and changing it out for the Leon, or holding on to the Leon and getting an electric car for a long term. And I rang up a couple of insurance companies to see the difference in changing the car from the Leon to the electric car. It's not going to be much, a little bit more expensive. But when I asked the question, could I get 2 cars on the same policy? Could I insure the Leon? Could I insure a Leaf or whatever it is? No, can't do that. You have to have 2 policies. Had to be 2 policies. I couldn't believe it. Richard Cullen, thank you very much. You're very generous. €10 by Super Chat. I couldn't get 2 insurance policies. Or I couldn't get 1 insurance policy covering 2 cars. So a lot of other countries like New Zealand cover the car. So when you take out insurance, you take it out on the car, not on the person driving the car. The person driving the car is automatically insured to drive the car anyway, once they have a driver's license. In this country, you take out insurance on yourself to drive a car. Weird, isn't it? But no, you can't do it. The only cheapest way to do it is to literally physically insure each car separately on separate policies. It's a pain in the ass, but it means you can shop around a bit. It means you don't have to put all your eggs in one basket. You don't have to ring up and give in to one company and do all that sort of thing. So check it out. Get around each one. GP O'Rourke says, my Mazda dealer is willing to hold my new car. It's ready for collection for a few weeks, as they may have to close temporarily, or I can collect it. Should I collect it and wait until things improve? If you paid for it, collect it. If it's ready there and ready to go, collect it. My advice to you is to bring a mask, something just to cover your mouth so you're not breathing in while you're cleaning the car. That's what you got to do, right? Bring some. You can get antiseptic wipes for your countertops. That works just fine on steering wheels. Clean the steering wheel, clean the gear knob, get a bottle of Domestos or a bottle of Dettol or some surface cleaner. Surface cleaner is what you're looking for. And just do the gear stick and the steering wheel and that sort of stuff when you're picking up the car. But you should be fine other than that. No problem at all. Collect your car. Enjoy it while you have. Mark O'Reilly, thank you very much. Keep up the good work. He says you're very good. That's by Super Chat as well. You're so kind, people. You're brilliant. Love you guys. You're so nice. The little community we created here on YouTube is amazing. But GP, if you have paid for the car and you don't have a big balance outstanding and there's no reason to hang on for it, just go and get it now. You could wait till things improve, but what that's going to do for your finance, you've already paid for it, car sitting there just gathering dust. Caroline Kidd says, thanks for the shout out, Bob. No problem, Caroline. Hopefully it is actually Caroline Kidd, because I'd be surprised if Caroline Kidd hang around this long. Anyway, Robert's Timeless says, I saw on Nobby on Cars Insta story this morning and North Bull Island this morning, and it was packed. What the fuck is happening? Social distancing. The problem is people forget themselves. They think right now that we're all off work for the crack and they're still getting paid and it's all fine, just go home and social distance. But then they get bored. Like, we're just not used. I grew up in the 70s and 80s, lads. There was no internet. There was no mobile phones. There was no video games. Well, video games came in the 80s, but there's none of that stuff. You had to learn to entertain yourself, which means everybody learned how to entertain themselves to do nothing. They learned how to be bored. People have forgotten how to be bored these days. They don't realise what it's like to be bored anymore. And so they just go somewhere, do something. They've got to go out, go around the town, go up to town, talk to people. And then they just forget what they're doing and they start talking to one another and get involved in conversations. If we get this right, as the HSC said, if we put 2 weeks hard grind into getting the numbers to flatten out, we will conquer this very quickly. We will be the poster boy for the entire world because we're an island. We have the capability of restricting movement here very quickly. More coffee. Nobby on Cars also here on YouTube. You can contact him here. It's Nobby from, I think it's 98 FM. I could be wrong. Am I wrong in saying that? I hope I'm not wrong in saying that. I could be the wrong channel. I just mentioned that he's on a radio station. And a nice chap too, he is. Lovely chap. Dazza says, well, that's well deserved. Annie McAfee referenced Tesco Ireland staff. That's true, yeah. Oh no, Bob, it's not. I drove past the Blessington Lake car parks at 1:50 p.m. today. They're all open. Really? Well, they've ordered them to be closed then. It is definitely coming. They're going to close them. Probably down to social distancing things. My fear is there's a lot of little laws and movements and stuff being shifted about in this moment during this emergency. There's other stuff like NAMA came out the other day and said that they had sold off all of their books for half price and could have made a fortune for us, but sold a lot. And of course that inquiry is just gone because we're all concentrating so hard on what's happening right now. So we're constantly looking at the news the whole time. I'm constantly looking at my email because Martin Cleary is a very generous person as well. Thank you very much, Martin. There is lists of links and things down below if you want to do the same thing. But we are so caught up in what's happening around us that we've missed what laws have been just passed. Literally, they have a law now where they can just close down areas of a town. If you're not doing your social distancing, you can end up getting arrested for it. There's all kinds of stuff that's coming at us. So we have to be careful that all this has to have a sunset clause in the end of it. That if they're going to close a car park and restrict your movement up a mountain, that at some point when this is all over, that they can't continue to do that as they feel. Because I'm always very nervous of laws that are passed by one event or laws that are passed in a time of emergency. Because it sounds like something good to do right now, but whether it's good to do 12 months from now is a whole different ballgame. Annie is answering Daza. Minsk has joined us. Which one is better for a weekend car? This is how you ask questions, Annie. See, this is where you sit back now. See, he has sat down and come up with a list and has decided this is the question. This is how you ask the question. This is how you just listen up now. You start off with, which one is better for a weekend car? A 2015 BMW M4 convertible. Okay, keep that in the back of your head. A 2014 Jaguar F-Type S V8 convertible. Or a 2016 Audi S5 convertible, similar mileage, price and condition. So, weekend car. There's two kinds of weekend cars. One of them is you get up on a Saturday morning, you go for a spin, you stop off for a coffee somewhere in Kerry, you do a lap of a road, and you come home that evening. That car is the F-Type because you won't have to carry anything with you. You just have the two people in the car and maybe a sandwich in the boot, and the rest is petrol, right? And it's actually pretty economical on the cruise as well. But if you're going for a weekend away with your significant other, be that male or female, and the two of you want to put some suitcases into the boot of the car and have a spin around and enjoy yourself, then one of the other two, particularly the M4, would be the two that I would pick out of those two. M4 is an amazing drive, and with the roof down you get to hear that glorious noise that comes out of the back of it when it barks along. So depending on your needs, the F-Type is without doubt the best noise that any vehicle has made pretty much ever, unless you're talking about the Jaguar, the original Jaguar, which has a video on my channel as well. The one developed by the Wind, which the name of it disappears on my mind every once in a while. But anyway, the F-Type is the one I would pick out those two, but the M4 would be the second choice I would have there as a car you can have there, sitting in the garage every day and take it out on the weekend, have a spin, go for a weekend away, enjoy the drive, relax and take it easy and come home anytime and still be able to leave everybody standing for dead at a traffic light. Unless you're driving an electric car. Well, depending on an electric car. Andy McAfee says, following this, I think all medical staff who worked through the crisis should be given a full year off paying tax out of their salaries by each government as a token of their appreciation. You see, I have a problem with that, and that just causes resentment on some behalves. And the reason I say that is not out of nastiness. The reason I say that is because everybody has their part to play in this, and some people will feel aggrieved by that move. I'd be in agreement with that, in fairness, particularly frontline medical nursing staff. Having been through the nursing staff in Ireland on a number of occasions the last few years. My mother passed away, was one of them. I spent over 12 months going in and out of James's, going in and out of the Hermitage, going in and out of GP's offices and all that with my mother. So I got to meet a lot of these people. And they're like the nicest people on earth, but they don't get paid half enough for what they put up with, what they see on a daily basis. I couldn't deal with it. Doctors, consultants, yeah, they get paid a fair whack of cash, particularly consultants anyway. They don't really need some time off. They don't really need what you're talking about. So where do you draw the line? I'd be it's hard to describe why I would be against that. I'm not against it. I'm not against tanking them and making them very high, but there's people out there putting in a lot of effort into this. The army's out now, they're up setting up tents up in Dublin as well. There's all kinds of stuff going on at this neglected end of it. It's not just medical staff that are going to be at the pointy end of this. It's everybody. Alan Burke says, hey Bobby boy, what is your preference, a VW Polo or a Seat Leon, both petrol? I would go to Seat Leon. It's a slightly bigger car. Polo is big, but I find Polo's a really good car, but I find Polo a little bit boring. As a higher car, I wouldn't be disappointed if somebody said, listen, here's a Polo, you're going to drive the thing for 6 months now. I wouldn't bother me to see that coming. But what would bother me is if I had a choice between a Seat Leon and a Polo, and I picked the Polo. I picked the Leon because it's a bit more fun to drive. A good engine. All of them are. All the Volkswagen engines are at the moment. But the petrol Seat Leon's a great yoke to drive. Nice car. Caroline Kidd says, what car should we do a collab on, Bob? Or should we let our audience decide? I don't know. Whichever. I don't mind. We talked about a collaboration before. Maybe you remember that? Just mention what see if the audience like it when you mentioned what we were talking about there earlier in the comments. Raymond Grace, Bob, if the virus is still in Ireland at the end of the year, how do you see the car industry faring? You see, what we need to do is flatten the curve of the virus. So the virus will be here at the end of the year. The virus isn't going away. We're not going to cure it. It's like the flu, the cold, the common cold. It's just going to hang around. But what will happen is you will get it and you'll be immune to it, or eventually, or you will get a vaccine and we will be immune to it, one or the other. So it's never actually going to go away though. So the trick is to just not have everyone affected at once. That's the whole point that's been pulled with the social distancing things, is to have us all infected eventually, but infected over a long period of time. So by the end of the year, it'll definitely still be here. The car industry will get back to work once a vaccine appears, particularly a vaccine. Because they'll just get a vaccine and give it to everybody who works in a factory, and we'll get back manufacturing. We have to get back manufacturing because it's not just the car industry is reliant on the car industry. It's every industry that spreads out from the car industry. It's all the suppliers, all the shops, all the supermarkets, everything that surrounds a car factory. I don't know if you've ever been to one. If you go down to Barcelona, you can go to the Martorell factory, the Seat make. I mean, you'd be 20 minutes driving around the grounds and still you're only halfway through the factory. It's so big. Like the biggest employer of Spain is Seat by miles and miles. So if you shut that sort of thing down, that's the whole country shutting down with it. It's difficult. It's going to be very difficult to move forward from this, to get back to normal. Brian O'Donnell's here. Good man. Hi, Brian. Cross 13 is the person who donated the SSD drive that is currently driving this laptop and the other laptop inside. Thank you very much. They were very important. Tesla are doing low contact deliveries. Paperwork ready for you outside. Take phone image of issues during inspection. Had my delivery on Friday. See, some companies are very quick to adapt, to understand the needs and go, right, what can we do to fix this? It's usually companies that are very, very close to their customers. So they know their customers. They know them personally. They've got enough customers in their life to understand what is going on. Other companies are very distant from their customers, and they're just numbers, like Lidl, like Aldi, these kind of companies who didn't really give a crap whether people, went in or out or shops or got infected or otherwise. Smaller businesses were already well adapted by the time Lidl and Aldi even came close to getting themselves sorted out. So the same applies for Tesla. Tesla is very, very connected to their customers. They have a great understanding of how their customers operate and what they do. So they obviously put stuff in place very, very quickly. Marty O says Woody's talking about shutting down for a while. You really do. Honestly, at this stage, we need to stop people congregating inside the shops as well. We really need the critical services to be opening, like Lidl, Aldi, Tesco, Super Values, these shops that supply us food. So we don't want to cause panic buying. We've seen what happened the first time that happened last Friday, Friday week. So we don't want to cause that. So we want to make sure that panic buying is kept to a minimum. But it means that we have to go out and get like stuff from a hardware shop. Some of them, we just need one maybe, not all of them to be open. Cross 13 says went a little earlier and 40 people were queued in an orderly fashion, 2 meters apart, one person in and one person out. Cities, we haven't had that here in Portlaoise. There's 36,000 people living in Portlaoise, but obviously it would serve a greater area than just Portlaoise. But we have Lidl and Aldi on one particular street. Tesco's and Dunn's are just next to each other as well, so they're all in the same sort of area with 2 super values in the town as well. So actually got quite a bit of food. I've yet to have to queue in any of those stores for any food, or even to get in or out. If the car park's full, we drive on. So if it looks like it's packed, we don't go shopping, we go on and leave it at that. We don't bring the kids shopping. It's just me or the wife that go shopping on our own. So we try to keep it to an absolute minimum, and we buy what we need for the next 2-3 days, and then we disappear for 2-3 days. Mini Egg says, any more thoughts on your Seat? Can you make electric work for you? That's just all come grinding to a halt, but yeah, we're nearly there. I nearly had the deal done on I was going to get an electric car and run it here for a year, second-hand one, not a new one, and run it here for 12 months, a replacement for the Seat Leon, or possibly to coincide with the Seat Leon. Just can't do anything with it right now, because obviously I can't even go and pick up a car. I can't go and get the thing. I can't make any videos about cars without sterilizing them first. It's really hard to find a way. It will happen for sure. It's going to happen. We're also going to get back to do a nationwide tour as well of the Electric Car Roadshow. I'm going to bring some electric cars with us. We've done deals left, right and centre to bring all kinds of stuff to that one. It's going to be a big one. You'll have the ability to, in certain places, we're going to allow people to drive the cars. We're going to bring people on runs and drives and all sorts of stuff, all kinds of things that I'm putting into place for a nationwide and actually European tours coming as well. That's coming, so that's a different ballgame, but that's on the way, hopefully, once we all get back away from this coronavirus, because we can't even do a talk that involves 5 people at the moment. Robert says, just had a quick look at Caroline Kidd's site, never heard of her, so thanks for the heads up. Would like to see you on a joint venture. How about a road trip? After all this virus stuff is over, we might do something like that. You never know your luck. You could get lucky. We did a little video together recently, myself and Caroline. We've driven together before. We're in Greece, and we did all kinds of drives before. But we made a little video recently on the Continental Tires Irish Car of the Year, which you can find on Facebook and on the Continental Tires website and on the Car of the Year Ireland website. Myself and Caroline talking about Toyotas and Fords and things. So we already made a couple of videos already. All Ford models are 0% APR. That's good. There's good news for the consumer again. Don't forget, really good news for the consumer is that petrol and diesel prices have fallen through the floor. Collapsed is the word that's been used on a headline from the AA. AA Ireland sent me a statement this morning. Let's find it again. Barry Aldworth. Thanks very much, Barry. Meanwhile, that's good news to do. Yeah. The fall in pump prices comes in the midst of a significant drop in the cost of crude oil, as demand for oil has fallen in several countries in response to the outbreak of the coronavirus, alongside a crude oil price way. That should be war, Barry. If you're watching, Barry, you've misspelled it. Price war. The price of a barrel of Brent crude oil has fallen slightly from under $65 in mid-January to currently trending in the high to mid $20 for a barrel of crude oil. So if you want to buy a barrel of crude oil, it's only 20 quid. Just go down and make your own petrol, for God's sake. Go down and buy a barrel of crude oil. What more do you want? Best advice you can possibly get from anybody. There are so many of you watching now, it's absolutely insane. There's 335 people watching at this very moment. This is crazy. But it's good. I'm not complaining. Trust me. That's some of the larger audience we've had in the last few weeks has shown how this channel is starting to go, which is kind of cool. I'm going to ban Caroline Kidd, because that's not Caroline Kidd. For sure, that's not Caroline Kidd. I will report you though to the actual Caroline Kidd, by the way, because I do know her. I'll phone her up. I'll phone her up and tell her that there's someone on YouTube pretending to be her, and that person is insane. Because I know Caroline I've known Caroline since she started being a motor journalist. So I know her pretty well. So I will send her a message and I'll let her know that she has an impersonator on Twitter. On YouTube. I didn't know you could even do that. But yes, you can follow Caroline Kidd. Caroline Kidd is a real person, not the person who's commenting here, but I will find out who you are. Redman Texas. Finance interest in Ireland is way higher than other countries like the UK. Price of cars here is also way higher than over there too. So yeah, it is there. Cross says, when you drove that Model 3, Bob, we had steering on comfort, not sport. I find the new 3 left LR handles noticeably better than SR Plus. Feels a lot more stable in the corners and much more settled. Well, software, in fairness to Tesla, whenever I test a Tesla, they update things. And then you drive it again and you go, God, it's not the same car at all. Because I had a little go on another Model 3, belonged to someone else. And had a good old spin in it. And it felt totally different to the first time I drove a Model 3. And I've driven a Model X since I actually had the full review one here for a week, which I adored. I love that model, the Model X. Such a cool, capable car. I've driven another one since, and it feels entirely different. Much softer, much nicer to drive. It's, more gentle on your back. It's just a really good place to be. So I don't, like, Tesla's pretty good at the update. I'm still a bit nervous about Tesla's ability to be able to update the car without your permission, so to speak, without your knowledge. But other than that, I think they're pretty good. So I must get another drive. I must ring lads in Tesla Ireland when this all settles down and get myself another Model 3 and have a good old spin in it. I had a sandwich earlier. It's really starting to repeat me now. I had scallions in it, which was a mistake to do before getting on the Sunday service here, because I have to deal with the scallion part of me. Checking my emails, make sure I'm okay. I'm okay so far. Good. Robert's Timelapse says, I don't think some people can accept a bad review anymore because most cars are very good nowadays. The unfortunate bit is most cars are starting to be a bit homogenized, a bit pasteurized, if you know what I mean. So when you get out of it's not even like Audi went through it with Volkswagen for a bit, but they're starting to separate themselves out again away from each other. But Volkswagen and Seat or Skoda and Volkswagen are still a little bit similar. And it's not just that problem that's there. It's any car company that has multiple inputs into it. So if you get into an Opel currently and get out and get into a Peugeot, it all feels the same. Like, it all just feels, it's so obvious that the suspension and the chassis and all is all made by the one company. So there's an element of that all cars feel, they're not all necessarily good, they just all feel the same. And that's a problem, I think. It's going to become a bigger problem into the future as we get on a bit, because right now the driver, the people who like to just get into a car and go for a spin, no particular destination, just go for a spin, that person is kind of weaning off to some degree, and it's changed over the last while. People now just want to be able to drive to work, and that's why the Ioniq exists, because it's just bland. It's just a fridge. It's just that 1980s, end of the 1980s into the 1990s fridge that people bought just to get to work. Something that's economy, relatively reasonable to buy. That's, these are not reasons to be happy about your car. I think 80% of happy ownership is looking out the window at your car going, that's a cool car, and that's my car, and it's cool. Or catching yourself in a window of a shop as you drive by and go, oh, that guy looks good driving that car, and you're talking about yourself. So that's 80% of happy ownership to do with a car. So it's very difficult to look at it and go, well, you look in the window and go, I'm driving a bleeding drizzle. That's just drizzle. That's a different, I don't want that. And I think that's where there's certain cars that fit into that category and do a good job there, which is like Nissan Leaf, which does a good job at being that kind of, feels a bit like a fridge, like just pure transport, and yet kind of pulls itself aside from that, giving you a few interesting things to talk about, giving you a few cool bits to do and thought about things and make things work. And Renault Zoe to some degree is that element as well. It's kind of reasonably priced transport that does a particular job, and it actually looks okay and feels good to drive as well. Eric Watcher says, fair play for the charity donation. Nice idea. Yeah, well, hopefully today, if I can find a bloody charity. Of course, the thing is, there isn't charity set up for this yet. There's been a few. America's got Feed America, which is one that's out there right now. World Health Organization, of course, is there too. What I'm looking for is a charity that's already running, like the Dublin, like Simon Community or someone like that, who's looking after maybe homeless people right now, who are nervous about their future, with everybody being fired out in the street right now, the way the homeless people have been going, and the way those lovely Fine Gael people have been treating them for years. That guy we're holding up is going, Leo Varadkar's doing a good job. Think about all them homeless people or unemployed people. Is that a good job? Evie Driving says, just been pressure washing patio. Missed most of the first 40 minutes. What was Ionic about? I think I participated. It doesn't matter. It wasn't Ionic Gate. It's funny how to some people that really matters. Like, I've seen that video being posted on various forums and stuff, and people going, "This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. How dare he say that this car is no good? It's my favourite car of all time." I couldn't care less if it's your favourite car. I have some weird tastes with cars, but generally speaking, I make videos for the people who are here all of the time. You know, the ones that watch a lot of the videos, the people who comment on nearly every video. I don't really make videos for people who just come along and comment on a single one. I got a nasty comment this morning. It's really long-winded sort of, "You've lost a subscriber. How dare you talk about the car?" It's really like offended. And you go, "It's just a car." It's just like saying, I didn't say I didn't like your kids or something, you know. It's just a car. Let's see if I can find one of those comments. No, that one's even too long. You can see what I get through. Look at all these comments. Look, this is the stuff I get. Look, this is it. It just goes on and on and on and on and on and on. Just come. And I've always read every comment on every video, even when there's millions of them. I still read them all. But just I notice on the electric ones, if you don't like it or you say something, or you don't say kilowatt hour, you say kilowatt by mistake, or whatever it is. It's like flipping a switch, and this guy doesn't know. That's all that happens. Midnight Rider says, "Would you hang off selling your own private car or try and get it in before things slow right down?" Well, there'll always be pent up need for cars. This is what happens a lot, right? So people get to an age. So the age is between 5 and 8 years. It's where people start to feel a pent-up need to change, right? It's a real itch. It's if you're not in PCP. For PCP, it's 3 years. Because you have to, at the end of 3 years, you make a decision. But if you're not in PCP and you own the car, or you have a bank loan or whatever on it, and you decide you're going to roll it over to another car, it usually happens between 5 and 8 years. And some cars in Ireland are 10 years old. My car's 14 years old. Now, what I'm banking on is that at the end of this, because car trades will slow down, there will be a ramp up at the other end where people are pent up, will be ready to go, boom, and away that they want to get new cars or they want to get a used car. Currently, right now, I wouldn't sell it. I have no interest. I don't think anyone has any interest in buying that. And I even notice all the ads on adverts have slowed down. I nearly got into a fight the other day with a guy. I wanted him to post out something to me, and he goes, "No, come and collect it." And I go, "I can't. It's social distancing. How am I supposed to stand there in front of you and touch the thing you just touched? It doesn't make sense. Send it to me and I'll pay you by PayPal." No, don't want to do it. Got real tick. But it just depends on which way you want to run it. If you're in a hurry to get rid of your car now, that's a different story. But if you're not in a hurry, I would just hold on for another month or so. We need to find out where this coronavirus thing is going to land. We can't just live with it every day. We have to deal with it and see how that pans out. Colin Wheeler says, "I drive electric now because I love the experience. Not much to do with the environment." That's different. If you're into it, some people just like that kind of experience of driving electric or driving something odd or something different. That's why Reliant Robin existed. That's why, it's a 3-wheel car. It makes no sense, yet it's sold in big numbers. That's why an awful lot of cars were invented, these oddball cars, because people don't all want to drive the same thing. My point with electric cars is more the fact that if somebody says something against them, it seems to be the end of the world. Like, the minute you go, electric cars aren't great for the environment. To go, "Oh, I'll tell you, I can fill out a report and here's an Excel spreadsheet," and it all comes out. Just like, everybody has a perspective and we should listen to the perspective. It doesn't necessarily have to be right. It doesn't necessarily have to be your perspective, but it just means that we need to understand that everybody has their own version of what you're talking about, and it's important. It's important to everybody. We can't, if we all thought the same, life would be terribly bloody boring, to be honest with you. Colin Wheeler says it restored his love of driving. Mamin says, "As for cars becoming more expensive, Car and Driver magazine started that in 2000. Only 18% of new cars cost was electronics. That rose to 27% in 2010 and now 40% in 2020. Depends what you measure as an electronic though, doesn't it, really? I mean, you can say electronics in that electric batteries, electric engines and stuff. Now it's 40%. But like, there was no real move in electric cars back in the 80s. So it always depends. Everything depends on how you measure it. All of these statistical reports and all of these things that come out that you read in the paper every day that the AA will trot out at you, or that some other company will trot out at you and say 22% of people said this. But it depends on how big the poll was, depends what the question was, depends what the answer is, who's interpreting the answers. I don't put a lot of stock into those kind of poles and stuff. It's just the way life is going at the moment. Colin says, agree, but there are definitely some price fixing going on in EVs. For sure, Colin, for sure. Right now, I firmly believe that people who are buying electric cars are actually being a bit ripped off. I think they say there's a lot more stuff in electric cars. Cruise control, and they're all automatic. And we know already, let's be serious, there's no gearbox. They're not automatic. It's just a bloody button you're pressing to turn a drive shaft one way or the other. That's really all that's going on. So it's not that they're automatic, or it's because an automatic car, naturally you think a DSG car is a little bit more expensive than a manual version, because a DSG engine or gearbox costs more. Same for CVT, costs a little bit more. They are physical kind of gearboxes, but an electric car has no gearbox. It has no clutch. There's very few wet parts in it. There's no engine oil. There's no nothing. And yet, they're vastly more expensive than their petrol-powered alternative. So, either these cars are a lot more expensive to build, which they're not, or you're being ripped off. And I firmly believe that what Peugeot, the managing director of Peugeot, whatever you want to call him, said the other day about electric car owners. It wasn't so much what he said about the owners. What he said was, once the grants are removed from electric cars, the sales fall off a cliff, essentially. So he was looking at countries that had grants in places for electric cars. They reached their point, they took away the grants, and then you see that the car sales completely tank and fall off a cliff. So what's going on is that people are buying into the grant. They're getting what they believe to be a cheaper car, a granted car that they can run forever. But without the grants, they're far too expensive. So without the grant, a Hyundai Kona is €49,000. That's 50 grand. Like 50 grand for a small 5-door hatch. Just in my brain, you're going, this doesn't make any sense. But people are buying them, and so there's an element being ripped off. That's what's really happening out there. Harry Smith said, the only EV I want is a Tesla. All the others either way are too expensive, or the other problem is the range is crap. This is probably true, actually, Harry, to be honest with you. Tesla seemed to have nailed a number of things very well. One of them is their network, the superchargers and things, those things. But the big one that they really nailed from the very start was the sat-nav interface. So when you get into the car, you go, I want to go to Cork. And it goes, right, the trip to Cork is going to be here, and you're going to have 20% of your battery left. That moment when you look at it and go, why doesn't every car company do it? Why don't they all tell you how much you're going to have left at the other end the whole time? You just don't look at the gauge anymore. On the way there, instead of it saying this is going to take you 4 hours to get there, go. What it does is it just routes you by a supercharger. It just took that route. It goes to the nearest supercharger and puts it in there, so you're going to have to charge at some point of this journey. The software is very good. It's easy knowing that Tesla were a software company that makes cars, and car companies are catching up. Now, that's going to change. I think when Volkswagen and Skoda and Seat and the Volkswagen Group get involved properly ramp up to electric cars, I think we're going to see a little element of Volkswagen go, okay, let's just take all the good stuff that Tesla did and put it in our cars. That's all that'll happen. So watch how that changes over time. But right now, Tesla is the most recognized brand as well. Remember when I had the Model X here, I was picking the kids up from a creche, and the whole creche came out to see the car do the dance. They knew that car did the dancing thing with the wings. They knew it did that as soon as I rocked up. I didn't say anything, but they already knew it was there. So brand recognition is massive for Tesla. Mini Egg says, you fixed your Garmin watch? Nope, still on my wrist here. It still works fine. I'm still running with it. It's just got a great big scratch down the center of the screen, and two of them. And I don't know if that scratch is leaking. I haven't showered with it or put it out in the rain or anything too much. I doubt it's leaking, but I haven't fixed it, no. Colin Williams says, love my Ioniq when I had it. Funny enough, the older Ioniq, the first one, was great. It was great range. It was comfy. It was very quiet and just chilled out. It was a really good little car. They refreshed tons of the car. They really have changed. They changed it so much that Hyundai call it the all-new Ioniq, which is unusual. They changed it tons, and I hate it now. So it's like chalk and cheese. The first one was fine. The second one was crap. We are lucky in the company. We have 40. I was going to say you have 40 Nissan Leafs, but you have a 40 Leaf, a Kona, a Nero, and a Model 3. Have unique point of owning all Fords. See, that's good. Byron's here. Leaf 40 would do 90% of what people 95% of the time. This is true, yeah, you're right. The kind of standard Leaf, and the more basic the better. Funny enough, I'm not a big fan of the sort of Pro Pilot thing in it, and I'm not a big fan of the e-pedal or any of that sort of. They feel somewhat gimmicky, so to speak, you know, a sort of a gimmick attached to the thing, and it works to some degree, but it's a bit odd when you're actually using it and getting used to it. But at the same time, I think a Nissan Leaf, if you're looking for basic, plain, affordable driving in a 5-door hatchback, you can't go far wrong in Nissan Leaf at the moment. Considering the price of the ID3 when it comes out, it's going to be expensive in comparison to a second-hand Leaf. You're going to have to wait for, if you're looking second-hand, you're going to be waiting 3-4 years to see anything even remotely second-hand out of ID3, and then there's still a lot of work to do in that car. Colin Williams says, see in Southport, Northwest UK last month, EV Group and ICE cars and a coffee was a great success. There's no reason why. I really don't believe that you actually, and I know there's the EV Owners Club, there's actually a couple of them or something, but I don't actually think you need that. I think it's good to have a little club of people who all work together. It's great. Like there's the Ford Owners Club of Ireland, or there's there's these different clubs. I get it, but essentially to have an electric car club is to set them aside from just cars. And for me, it's not right for me to sit back and go, electric cars, this is an electric car, it's got 40 kilowatt hour battery, it's got plugs in it, this is CCS. We know all that. It has to be a good car. And if it's not a good car, then it should be discarded. It should be just thrown away. It's not because it's boring, but it's okay. It shouldn't be okay. It should be brilliant. It's the newest tech of all newest tech. It should be the best car it can be. Anyway, that's just me ranting again about how journalists approach their reviews. I really do think we have a disastrous lack of genuinely unbiased journalists who talk about cars in this country. We have a few. There's a few, and a few of them are friends of mine. Actually, I know every bloody one of them, but a few of them are friends of mine. But there's a few that are coming through that think it's okay to not criticise. That's okay to just think everything's brilliant. Everything's wonderful in the world. You should do that. Raymond Grace, very generous. Thank you very much, Raymond Grace. The donations are brilliant today. You're very good. You're all very kind, though, to put up with me. Look at the time. My God. And I'm only answering questions from 10 to 3. Sorry. I'll try and catch up. Don't spoil it, Bob. This dude is good crack. See what he's tried to get at random accounts. That's okay. We just keep an eye out for these weird. There's some weird people who have the technological know-how to do pretty much everything, and they take it upon themselves to impersonate or to come onto my YouTube channel and start a conversation in a way that is like a person, like a normal. They ask normal questions, and then it goes off the rails over time. But this is the first time we've actually had a real person impersonated by that person. So it's the first time that's happened. We have to watch out for each other. We have been flat out setting up customer work folks to work from home. But some have already gone out of business. There for the grace. That's true. Yeah, I know every business is feeling it right now, Colin. Dead honest. Big, small, tiny freelancers, guys working alone like me, or people working with 10 or 15 people. It's a tough decision. Like, we had Shaw's here in the town shut down, which is a big employer. That's Shaw's nationwide, like. At the head office here in Portage, that's shut. It's gone. And it's gone in a way that dumped all the employees. It's not gone in a way that they were trying to do something for the employees, try to help them out or do anything about it. Just dumped them all. Put them all on the dole queue. End of story. Managers in the lot, everybody. So we've had that, which is a big employer. We've had little places, little clothes shops, little small outfits, all gone with them as well. So everybody's feeling some sort of panic at the moment, for sure. Smaller freelancers, like most of us, are feeling it immediately, because it's an immediate thing. You had a plan for 3-4 months, and then suddenly that plan just goes bang, it falls flat in its face because there's nowhere to go with it. Mark Turner Smith says, reading a review on the revised Suzuki Swift Sport. Well, refresh is refreshed. Hardly changed. Mild hybrid system added to make it future proof. Sadly slower, not to 60. Jimny axed due to CO2 company figures. I've never seen a company make such a disastrous mistake as Suzuki has made over the last 4 or 5 years They bring out really, really honest to God good cars, and then they don't make enough of them. They restrict the sale of them, and then they can't fix the CO2 problems. I don't know what it is with a company like Suzuki. They make okay cars, but then they put a tiny fuel tank in it, and it doesn't go very far. You have to go to the bloody petrol station every few days. They make a Jimny, and it's brilliant. Everybody dying to drive it. Everybody trying to get into it. And what does it do? Restrict the sale of it and then take it off sale altogether because they can't make a good CO2 version. Everybody loves it. I never got to drive it. Never got to spin it here in Ireland. They wouldn't even bring it out in this country. Weird, isn't it? How a big company like Suzuki can get it so just wrong in markets. They don't seem to be paying attention. And yet they're such nice people. Operator Hoot says weebs. Don't know what that means. Is that modern talk for something else? Young kids talk or something. Anyway, it says 250 people and only 91 likes. If an Android YouTube app closed chat to see like Tom, 121 likes. Now you're very good, Andy. Well done reminding everybody. I always forget these things. I always forget to ask for stuff. It's what happened to the channel at the very beginning as well. I forgot to ask for subscribers and videos. So I've 22 million people have watched the channel. Compared to 45,000 subscribers or something, or whatever, 46,000, whatever it is now. Let's get to 50. Let's just get to 50. Subscribe, everybody. Thanks. Irish Foxhound, afternoon, Bob. Late chat, late I am. It's turned into Star Wars talk there. Richard Cullen, you're very generous, thank you. Raza Teeve is here. Nigel Gordon, EVs are probably dead in the water as a result of coronavirus. Cars are in general, to be honest with you. Economies will be affected, and there will be a collective realisation that working from home is far better way to reduce emissions. I'm dying to see the data from what's after happening in Europe, because I've seen the videos of Venice, of the canals running clear and dolphins swimming in the canals and fish returning for the first time in years. I was in Venice, I can't remember when it was, years ago with the missus. God, it must be nearly 2 decades at this stage. But anyway, I was in Venice, and the first thing I noticed was the smell of the place. The second thing I noticed was that you can't see anything in the canals. You can't see anything in the water. It's just this strange colour. And if you look at James Bond, a couple of James Bond movies are done in Venice as well. Same thing over the years. You can see that same horrible colour. And yet the other day, after 2-3 weeks, bang, the water's running clear again and looks great. Now, if you take all the planes out of the sky, we'll see what happens to our CO2 emissions, because I would say one aircraft is responsible for the same CO2 in a single journey to Barcelona. I'm afraid to say this, but to Barcelona, as like a couple of 100 cars would be on a weekly basis. You take all that CO2 out of the air and you start taxing for we'll have to pay a bit more for fuel. No, we'll have to pay a bit more for holidays. I'll have a coffee, please. My wife has come down making me coffee. She was out running today. It's Mother's Day and she's making me the coffee. Should have put you in front of the camera here for 2 hours talking on Mammy's Day. This is Mammy's Day, like. We'll have to pay a bit more for our airline tickets, but I think it'll be worth it. Omar Nikolai, I think that is. Afternoon, Bob. Would there be any value to you doing reviews on after vehicle market technology? Dash cams, GPS tracking, basically stuff people fit to their cars after purchasing. I did a couple of dash cams. That was good, yeah. So I do a little bit. I keep getting how I did it. I did one Chinese dash cam, and every week, pretty much, a dash cam has turned up in the post. Since then, a different one, an updated version, a new one, another one. I have one. Where's that dash cam, Soph? Is that inside the door there? No, that reversing camera, rear view mirror one. I got a rear view mirror one, which I'm trying to figure out how to work. So I've got to review that next. So what it does is covers your rear view mirror, but it has a funny little thing right now. Not there, no. I think it's in the hall. Oh, there, can you see the Mother's Day? She knew exactly where it was. Mother's Day, brilliant. This one. This thing came in the post, which has, what is that? Nissan GTR on the front of it for a dash cam. Anyway, it's called Van Top, and it fits over your rear view mirror. So I do have one of these. That's it there. The camera's on this side there, sticking out the back of it, and it fits over the top of your rear view mirror. I'm really concerned by this, because there's the element of what happens in the event of a collision to your rear view mirror, which are meant to break. If anything hits them, they're meant to break off. But I do find it amusing. It says, please remove off before use. It says in the front, please remove off before you. You think you'd use a little grammar check just to check to say, sure, that's all right. Anyway, it's quite heavy, actually. That's quite heavy. quite a big lump of thing. But I got a review on that. So yeah, dash cams, aftermarket stuff, yeah, to some degree. A lot of people don't bother with aftermarket stuff much anymore. You know, a lot plates and things like that people used to do quite a lot during the 90s and into the noughties. They don't do so much anymore. So it's a little bit difficult to figure out which one people want to talk about. But dash cams are pretty good. Nigel, you're so correct. How could you not? No, that's sorry, Minister of Transport. In France and many countries on the continent, that your car is insured, says Irish Forecount. That's true. Yep, your car. We do it weird in this country. The way insurance companies work here. Thank you very much. You're very kind. We do a very strange thing. We insure the person and the car. So you're insured to drive that car with that plate on it. You're not necessarily insured to drive everything else. It's kind of weird because you're the ones being insured over here. I find it a bit strange. Anyway, Fee says alcohol-based disinfectant wipes 99% may not be wise for leather-covered wheels, especially when brand new without layer of greasy human on it. True. Just be careful. Just be wise. You have very little chance, I would say, because the valeters will be wearing gloves when they're valeting your car and cleaning your car off. You know, so there'll be a lot of stuff going on. It's 369 currently at the moment watching, 373 watching. So it's, you know, across the world people are bored today. It's going to be another big day. But then the Sunday service has gotten very big, much bigger than it used to be. Like when we started first, and I'm sure Andy probably remembers this, among many of you remember this, that we started with like 10 people. So the first ever Sunday service, I think, had 10 viewers, and I still did it. It was still good crack. In fairness, it was lovely. There's a lot less questions. There's a lot more time to fill, but it was good crack. There's the cat in now. Morris Fitzgerald. So go collect your car, fine, but now social distancing important. Usually you're inconsistent between your vid and not during your vid. Morris, that's not what I said. When you're collecting your car, you're not going to be standing in a big crowd of people. Okay, you go to the dealership which has been set up for you to come. I've talked to them all this morning, like Joe Duffy's and a whole lot. They've all got social distancing nailed inside. So you're going to collect your car, you go into a dealership, they put the keys on the desk, you pick up the keys from the desk, you do all their signatures there, you hand it all back, but you don't hand it to a person. The person standing on the other side of the room. You go out to your car, you give it just a quick wipe down yourself, get into the car and drive home. How in the name of God is that not social distancing? And you know, here's someone coming in out. Usually you're inconsistent between your vid, not during your vid. And check that grammar there while you're at it. Anyway, Dave McCarthy. Our local Subaru is doing phone sales and test drives by the drop off and wipe it, and they come and pick it up later, and then they call back about the purchase. See, you see, social distancing extends right into car dealerships. Almost all car dealerships are still open. Some have closed. Most of them are still open and are available by phone. Most of the dealerships have given out mobile phone numbers to contact the sales staff if you've got questions. There's a lot going on that we can have to figure out. Social distancing is about groups of people, particularly groups of people, or being stuck near somebody for 15 minutes within 2 meters range. If you look it up on the HSE website, that's what it says. TS says, true Bob, when people get bored these days start drinking a lot. That's true as well. You know, you end up having wine every evening here because we're going nowhere anyway. You know, so you do that stuff. Hi Mrs. Here's my cat. My cat has landed. The laws the Dáil have passed sunset automatically in 3 months time as far as I know. I hope so. I'm always very nervous of those kind of laws that are passed in a hurry and then they don't remember that they need to take them off again. You know, the law has to go away after a while. So hopefully there's a sunset clause in all of these weird laws that are coming out right now, or at least the way they change. So Pamela Glynn says, hi Bob, love watching your clips, thank you. After watching your Kia e-Soul clips, I've sold my little Nissan Figaro and I'm picking up my e-Soul long range tomorrow. Well done. The Nissan Figaro is a lovely car actually. Not nice to drive necessarily, but it is a very unusual sight to see. My kids, all children, fall in love with a Nissan Figaro just on sight instantly. Look them up. Just Google what. I can't even describe it. It looks like something that came out of the 50s, but was made like 2 months ago. Lovely car. But you made the right choice on the e-Soul. It's a great car. I'd say for a consumer, for a standard level of electric cars, the e-Soul would be my favourite one. I would probably say the Mercedes EQC would actually be my favourite car. Range is a bit short, and it's a bit slow to charge, but it's probably my favourite car a lot. Making any cars is a very dirty business, ICE or EV. Yes, you're right. You're right. They're both dirty for sure. They're both dirty. It's just we don't know how dirty some of them really get to. I would say they're probably close to the same level of dirt for both cars. I don't think one is particularly cleaner than the other to make. Cross says, yep, those laws only apply for 90 days under Article 24, Section 3 of the Constitution. You're very good. You see, now we're okay. Those laws that close down whole areas only apply for a short time. The cat is going to come up. Man, the cat's going to be on the live stream, by the way. I've inherited a cat to do the ASMR thing. This cat adopted us, by the way. In case you haven't met her before, it's Misty is her name. The kids love her. Oh, she's licking my face. The kids love the cat. The cat has turned up and has made us. She's bumping the microphone now. Sorry. She's decided that I'm the best thing that ever happened to the world, which is okay. Crazy Dog says, to be honest, Bob, I'd have the Beamer M4 for the weekend. The Beamer M4. Yeah, I would too. No, I would. Like for boot space and just comfort and stuff, the M4 is brilliant, you know. The Jaguar is a fantastic thing to drive, and that noise when the roof is down is just, oh, what a sound. The cat has joined the stream, by the way. She's decided she's going to be part of the stream now. Sadden cars. Is Ireland, like Scotland, suffering a plague of self-isolating motorhomes? No, I don't know about the motorhomes, but there's certainly... No, there's no plague, no. Of motorhomes, no. Although there is some motorhomes on the road, I did see them. I also had been in touch with a couple of people who have yachts as well, who've taken to the sea to get away from people. So definitely, it's definitely coming that way, all right, for sure. People don't want to be hanging around with each other. This is great, though. I mean, imagine if this was the 80s, where the internet didn't exist and we still had to do social isolation. Can you imagine what it'd be like if we couldn't do the live stream like this? It'd be crazy, like. Colin Wynn says, Paul McGlynn's wife has an E-Niro, great car. They are a great car, yeah. Bob, what do you think will happen to the price of new cars if we're still in this situation for these 6 months? Will it become a buyer's market? Says Dominic Gavin. The problem is there's not actually that much money for the car companies or the dealers in a brand new car. They make far more from used cars. A brand new car washout could be anywhere between 1,000 and 2,000 euro. It's not a huge amount of money. Now, when I say washout, it means what the car company is going to pay the dealership for selling the cars. So a dealer might get 1,000 euros from selling a brand new car right off the lot, a straight deal. So there isn't, that's near cost. If you imagine if there's going to be a buyer's market, I imagine they're going to try and encourage more people to buy cars. So they'll probably do something on the finance front. They may do something on the price, but I don't think it's going to be a lot to do on the price, though. I really don't, because you can't devalue a whole market just to encourage more sales. That's what you have to do. So if you want more people in your car, you either sell more of them at less rate and get less money, or you sell less of them and make them more exclusive and try and make more money that way. I don't know what you're looking for, but she's wandering around my feet now. Mark Turner Smith, my weekend car is a soft top, would be the last Golf soft top, I think based on the Mark 6 platform. So-called Mark 6 Cabriolet, GTI, or serious money new, but hardly ever see any. Yeah, that's not a bad car, actually. I do like GTIs. They're very... Are you going up again now, or what are you doing? I don't know. Nigel Gordon says, EVs increase demand for electricity while regulations reduce supply of electricity. This will increase prices while affecting stability of supply. Uncertainty highlights the need for stability. Well, put that in perspective. I just announced this morning that the price of petrol and diesel has crashed. So there's uncertainty in your supply. Now, at the same time, there's no shortage. So it's not like we're running out of peak oil. You know, that peak oil argument comes out every decade or every 2 decades or so. Someone goes, we've hit peak oil and we're never going to have any more of it. And yet they seem to continue to push it out all the time. Are you pouring in my face now? You are pouring in my face. But it's okay. But the same will apply for electricity. It'll be a supply-demand thing. For sure, electricity probably will go up at some point, but I just don't think you're going to see that same swing that we get in petrol and diesel cars at the moment, where you have like the prices just dropped this morning by 20 cents or $50 a barrel or something. You know, you're not going to get that kind of big jump like you did before. Over 400 people watching at this moment. So we'll keep going, even though we're going to get like 9 minutes left of this. We'll keep going till all of the questions are answered, because I'm only answering questions from 10 past 3. And it's 10 to 4. It's an insane day again. It's great to have you all, though. Hit the subscribe button. So everybody subscribe who's watching right now. Make sure the subscribe button's on. Actually, if you click the little bell, there's a small bell beside the subscribe button, which allow you to turn on and off notifications from the channel. So whenever I go live, because I will be going live, my wife came up with a great suggestion for this week. We're going live again this week before next Sunday. So we're going to have what's called an oil change in the middle of the week. And we're going to do another live chat too. I love you too. The cat is right here in my face, just purring straight into my mouth. When will you be trying the new VW GTI? There appears to be nothing on YouTube yet. It's coming out. I don't know when. Coronavirus again. We were supposed to go here, there and everywhere to get these things done, but everything is just grinded to a halt because of that. So there's nothing much we can do until this time passes. We're going to have to stop flying and going places. We're going to have more... Whether we have more press conference. I mean, how do you drive a car at an electronic press conference? You know, you can't. So it's a bit of a problem. But the world premiere stuff, I think, will end. The cat is fascinated by the cameras, lads. The cat is just... Would you get fucking tail on my face? There's a tail around my neck now. Anyway, Nigel Scott, thank you very much. You've been very generous there on Super Chat. You're very good. But I don't know when I'm going to be driving a VW GTI yet. Robert Llewellyn has landed, has he? Sure he has, yeah. I'd have no problem debating Robert Llewellyn, to be honest with you. Robert Llewellyn, that gas. Lads, I'm so far behind on the questions I can't see what's going on. Annie McPhee has a good point. Smash, hit, touch, rub, flick, stroke and caress the like button, which is always good. That's the right way to do it, actually. Do whatever it needs to be done. Someone has just been very generous by Super Chat. Again, Cross13 has been hugely generous. Over all the time that I've been doing this, there's always those names that pop up constantly. And Cross has been one of those all the time. And I've met him a couple of times. We've driven cars together and stuff. And he's donated equipment and all kinds of stuff to what we're doing here, what I'm trying to achieve here. And he's always hugely generous. So hats off. I'll have to get you a pint or something at some point. Or a coffee, or, you know, sparkling water, whatever you want. Annie McAfee says, speaking to a member of a staff at McDonald's in Northern Ireland following government saying to close pubs, restaurants immediately, drive-thru still open and takeaway only, touchscreens are still in use for ordering. That's crazy. Why would you want to touch a screen? Run. But yeah, takeaway is still going. A lot of takeaways are still going. We have a Lana here in town, which I must say, there's not many of them in the country, but Lana makes some really outstanding food. But there is the Lana here in town, and they're still doing takeaway. You can't go and sit down, but you can buy your stuff and collect it if you want to. I don't know how they manage that, but you pay by tapping. Dave McCarthy says, Bob, it has become a worldwide sensation. Yes, in my own mind, it happened years ago. Overnight sensation. It's only 10 years old, the channel is this year. So, overnight sensation. I've been called an overnight sensation the other day, actually, on one of the videos. Somebody said, now that you're an overnight sensation, something about something about jobs in the industry or some stuff. I don't know it. I don't pay attention. Overnight sensation. 350, 390 watching right now. Brian O'Donnell, 351. You're all trying to figure out how many numbers there is. A tad late to scene. Hope all is well. We are well, Paul. We're going to continue going until all of the questions are answered as usual. Paul O'Connor says, look like new car sales will drop off a cliff. We're not going to be worrying about electric cars versus diesel, etc. for a while. This is true, 100%. We're going to be more worried about actually having cars in the market. The problem is when new car sales fall off a cliff, the used car market falls off a cliff years after. So it's 3 years from now we'll see the knock-on effect of the used cars in the market in Ireland. This is a big problem. It's going to be a massive problem, especially when we're driving people into lower and lower and lower CO2 cars. Cleaner, getting rid of dirty diesels, this is all good things, but we're pushing everybody away from it. So in 3 years' time, when hardly any cars will sell this year, electric, diesel, petrol, whatever way, because the sales will be so low, in 3 years' time we're going to have problems with used cars. Dave McCarthy says, I'm not thrilled with Tesla, but I'm old and like the muscle memory of buttons, changing radio volumes and point the vent rather than take my eyes off the road to do very little thing. You're dead right. I still struggle quite heavily with touch screens, with replacing kind of physical. It's not even just muscle memory. It's being able to glance and just feel a physical knob, switch, button, whatever it is you can twist and turn and make it infinitely adjustable without taking your eyes away from the road at all. Whereas touchscreen, you're never quite sure whether you've touched the right part of the screen or you're touching the right thing, or it's just a little bit fiddly. And if you're driving a Toyota, I notice the new Toyotas tend to keep you in the lane, to do the lane, they stop you moving in and out of your lane all the time, but they actually keep it a little bit too far to the left in the overtaking lane. You just feel like you're going to sideswipe a truck as you're driving along. Daza says, Bob, will a Skoda Superb 5 be able to recharge itself through regen braking like the VW get? Yeah, will you? They're going for the whole show. I actually have, in 2 weeks time, I have the Skoda Superb PHEV, so I'll be doing that test on the fuel economy at the Passat PHEV next week. So I booked one behind the other because they're very similar cars. I want to see just how similar it gets. I'm also going to test the fuel economy on the Passat. Don't tell Volkswagen, but I'm going to test the same fuel economy because I've nothing else to do. Like, I'll be sitting around staring at a wall anyway, so I might as well go out and drive for 100 kilometers. But yes, it will get some regen braking. It might be reduced. I find that everybody's turning down how fast these electric cars charge and how fast the PHEV charge and stuff. I find that they're putting in cheaper and cheaper interior bits and pieces in them, so they charge a bit slow. Richard Cullen says, what about Down syndrome, Ireland? You mean for the charity thing? I'll figure out which charity it is. I don't even know how much it is we're going to collect today, and I'm going to leave it run for another week because the video continues getting hits for the rest of this week. It'll be thousands of people will watch between now and next Sunday, and they may donate as well. So I'll donate between now and next Sunday or something to a charity and figure out which charity needs it most, or which charity could do with that kind of donation. What I'm hoping to do is someone who's possibly helping right now in this moment of crisis. They've come to the aid of something good, and they could be the ones that get it. Doreen Ni Shanlik. I'm terribly sorry, I'm probably mangling that name. But anyway, well done, Bob. Great to have something good in the real world to be part of. You see, I've always tried to bring this little Sunday service thing, as low a hit as it was at the start, and people didn't like it, some people liked it, now people are quoting it in newspapers, and I heard someone quote me on the radio the other day. So I've always tried to create a community where we could talk about anything, not just cars. Cars are like the linchpin, like the overall bit of it, the mechanical end of cars, where you got a question about fixing a car or whatever it is. But I've always tried to create a community where you guys get to know each other as well, which has happened, particularly on our Facebook page. There is the Sunday service. It's a closed community Facebook page where you can go and talk about anything you want. It's fine. It's okay as long as it's legal. It'll be fine. But it's deadly to keep us all together. And a lot of the names I mention when I'm flying through names here and talking to people who's answering questions, I've said every single Sunday for weeks now. People who come along. It tends to taper off during the summertime, but only because sporting events happen. But we'll see this summer. We could be all sitting around staring at a wall again. So maybe I'll have to keep this going or make it twice a week or something, just so everyone has something to listen into. Mark Turner Smith said, understand what you are saying about cars being all the same. Faithful Vauxhall buy out a Saab with the Vauxhall Force and Vectra as a platform, and then Saab trying to go their own way design. GM hated it. True, this is what happens though. It's the same in business. A lot of businesses are like this. So they start off with a really good idea, and the owner of the business is really good at the job, and they turn up and they do their thing in their business, and it's brilliant. And then they bring somebody else in, and they're not quite as good because they're only an employee. And that's not to diss employees, but employees will never work as hard as the owner. Never. And never have the same level of passion about something as the owner. So when someone like a car company brings in accountants to say, listen, we have to make money. This has to break even. It has to start making profits. The accountants have no passion for the vehicle. And so a lot of the people who have passion for the vehicle don't work for car companies anymore. The vast majority of PR people that I talk to about the cars, about getting pressed cars, about reviewing cars, the vast majority of them are not car people. They're not into cars. Sometimes when you talk to them, you just go straight over their head what you just talked about when you talk about dynamic profile of the accelerator pedal, or how the gas pedal has changed the dynamic response in a corner. Any of this stuff is like, what are you talking about? And then there's one or two of them who are really well up and are car people, and they tend to be more favoured by journalists. So there's an element of these people that fall out of love with cars and fall back into love with cars, who are the best ones to be around. And when it comes to electric cars, they're being designed by committees. They're being designed by people who just want efficient. It doesn't matter about the dynamics, the driving, the ability, just to be efficient and go as far as it possibly can be. And that's not actually the right conversation to have about any of these things. I don't know what Douse 25 is talking about. He says Bangkok, Nom Kong. Is that the best you could do? Is that it? Robert Llewellyn was banned. The ban hammer came out from Andy McAfee very quickly there. You're dead on. Crichton was... I love that. Robert Llewellyn. It's gas. As soon as I mention the name. See, mention Chris Harris. There you are. Offered. And if you get Chris Harris into the chat, I'll phone him up and see if he's actually chatting, right? Because I have his phone number here. I give him a buzz. Oh, I better not show the phone to the phone screen. Or Johnny Smith. I have Johnny Smith's phone number as well, I think. No, maybe I don't. I have his email address anyway. Brian Morrison says, afternoon, Bob, and everyone in chat. Hope you're all keeping safe and well. We are. So far, we're all okay. Byron says, the Ioniq, Bob, if it's genuinely crap, then call it. The Evangelist said, it's great. It can't win, can you? Like the James and Kate, that's the person that was mentioned. James and Kate, did you watch that review? I thought that was fairly gushing, I would call that. And yeah, it's not wrong with it. If you want to be gushing, they can. They're not car reviewers, they're pro EV. See, that's the problem. That's the other problem as well. Everybody comes with their own set of, I want to do this because I like that, right? So if you go out and buy a Hyundai Ioniq, you can't tell me that that's the best car that ever, because you're biased towards it. You bought one, so you're automatically a little bit biased towards it. So I'm a little biased towards that Seat Leon I own, and if I really like a car, I'm a little bit biased towards it as well. But I try and pull that back every time I possibly can. You know, there's always an element of going, hang on a second, there's other things this car has to achieve as well, and that's the same for all car reviewers. Should think that way. And the same for James and Kate. I only watched the first 2 minutes of it or something. I just found the whole lot to be a little bit too gushy for me. There was no sort of analysis of anything. There was no kind of criticism of anything. It was just like, this is a great car, this is deadly, we drove it from here to there. And it's fine. If that's what their thing is, if that's what their shtick is, that's okay. Mine is to be blunt and pretty honest with stuff. I just from the hip. I don't write a script. I don't sit down, do voiceovers. 99% of what you hear in a video review of mine has been recorded on the day while I'm at the wheel of the car. I don't really sit down and do voiceover stuff afterwards. That's easy. You know, I could easily record 4 minutes outside driving around the town and then come in and just do VO over the whole thing from a script and know exactly what I'm going to say every single time. It fails, it misses the point. Cross says, to be honest, I agree. The old Ioniq was grand, and if you were lucky, you got one of us for as little 23 to 25k. Yeah, absolutely. The first one, I thought it was a lovely car. It was just a nice thing to drive around. Looked well, looked stylish. Didn't look like an electric car. It wasn't shouting, I am electric, you know. Now it looks like it is, and it got those two little panels on the front which looked like cutouts. I don't think he even mentioned that in the video, you know, those little two panels. Anyway, they looked like someone's after breaking the front of it and broke out the two little panels. Robert Llewellyn. Colin F says, hi Bob, what's the story with the Ford Mach-E Irish launch? No idea. It's coming, but I don't know what the launch is going to be. We might have to stand in Weston Aerodrome on 5 different sides of the runway trying to figure out which one to drive. The problem, I actually think the problem with launches is not necessarily the behaviour of the people at it. It would be because they only ever bring like 2 or 3 cars to a launch, but there's 25 people there and we all want to drive it, so none of us want to get in the car with the other filthy motoring journalists. All them motoring hacks, they are filthy, smelly things. I'm joking, of course, they're all very nice people. Andy McPhee says we hit 375 viewers there at one point. Has been new point on the service, right? Still 330 watching right now. It's 400 and something a minute ago. Brian Morrissey didn't know that about Shaw's. We had a big one here in Waterford. There was a lot of people to rely on. Yeah, it closed here in Portlaoise, but is the way they closed was the biggest problem rather than that they closed. It was the way they did it. It was a text message sent out to the employees that said, we've taken the unfortunate thing of we'll call you later, and they decided they're going to close, and they just dumped everybody. There was no negotiations. Mandate came out and gave out about it as well. There was no negotiations about it, no nothing. It was just like, nope, we're closed. That's it. I think Shaw's might be in financial trouble. They have been. There was a report in the Irish Times in January that meant that their profit margins weren't as good as they should have been back in January. So could be using this as an excuse to dump people. Brian Morrissey says dolphins in Venice was a hoax, apparently. A lot of wildlife back, but no dolphins. I definitely saw pictures of fish and very clear water in places. And there's an Italian guy on what's that thing called? TikTok, TikTok is okay, by the way. I don't post that much, but I am on it. There's another impersonator account of mine as well. There's another one there that impersonates me weirdly. I only have like 2 followers or something on TikTok, and someone's impersonating me. I don't know why that happened. Peter Dolan has just donated by super chat. Thank you very much. Hi Bob. Just read that the motor industry, Ford, GM, etc., being used in the States by Trump to assist manufacturers of ventilators. Good to see the motor industry play a part. It is. I mean, God, they need to work, for God's sake, give them jobs. But yeah, it is great. Plenty of engineers and designers and everything else that work in the motor industry could be called upon to do pretty much anything at the moment that would help. There is also a ventilator industry here in Ireland trying to do a crowd version of it, a kind of open source version of ventilators, to be made in a big hurry, and they seem to have got their funding there very quickly. Dave McCarthy says it's strange working from home, but I think many offices will realise how possible it is compared to the cost of office space and commuting. That can be a scary future for some people. I remember when I got a contract a few years ago to work for a guy doing his social media. He wanted me to come to his office twice a week to do the social media from his office. And I tried to explain to him that I have an office and I don't need to come to your office to do the social media from my office. It wouldn't make any sense. That I'd have to charge him more for transport and sitting in his office and insuring myself to be on his premises, and all these things come into it. You just wouldn't see it that way. So I ended up not taking the contract because it didn't make any sense. The money was being ruined by having to drive to a bloody office in the first place and to do with social media. So I run social media accounts, some social media accounts for small businesses. Now I don't charge for half of them, but I do help them as much as I possibly can to get their social media up and running. But sometimes, once in a while, a contract will appear to do more social media for somebody. Nationalist Scallywag says, I was in Venice 3 decades ago and it smelled terrible. There you go, you see, it's always smelled. Venice stinks, but it's lovely. That was more like 5 minutes. Your Google power's not strong. Can't tell me Robert Llewellyn. What's the reason? Sorry, we were talking about him. Booger hit 279 viewers. Didn't get a screenshot. It's 331 now. You can get all the screenshots you want. 379. Mini eggs. When the planes were grounded for just a few days, when that volcano erupted, it made a measurable difference to the atmosphere quality. 100%. Patrick's Day, I went for a run and I did an Instagram story of going around the town. And I stood in the centre of Portlaoise with 4 lanes of traffic, 2 one way, 2 the other way, and not a car to be seen. It was weird for Patrick's Day to have it like that. No one on the streets, nothing happened. It was just amazing. It was beautiful, actually. But the smell of the air was amazing. Just this clean air all around. It was lovely. Social distancing, apart from the new Juke that was driven through the window of the showroom in Dublin. Yes, true, I saw that picture the other day. Yeah. I know what happened there. It seemed to floor it and just hit the centre pillar of a window and broke it in bits. Where am I now? 3:47. I'm catching up, I think, slowly. Paul O'Connor, car servicing and repair costs will go up now. I had my car serviced on Friday last. Told brakes, gearbox, etc. will need attention in 10k. Major service in 15k. Total of €800. €800. I've never spent €800 on servicing anything. I'll take on a bleeding car myself. Now, if a gearbox is a whole different story. That getting a gearbox out of a car is one pain in the hole, no matter what the car is. It's just an awful experience getting it out. Some are easier than others, but for the most part, gearboxes are a pain in the ass. But if you change gearbox oil, which is very easy to do, it's on the bottom of your gearbox. There's a little screw, I suppose, you'd open. Very similar to the oil sump plug. You can take it out and drain out the gearbox oil, put it back in, fill up the gearbox oil. It's lovely. Clutch is the same. If you've got a wet clutch, that is. There's multiple ways of keeping stuff working for yourself. You know, it's very important to keep your own car working. Electric cars aren't much cheaper, to be honest with you, to service. You just have to service so many things can go wrong. But like a Nissan Leaf, large service on that's 169, I think, 179, something like that. And 129 or something for a smaller service. So like you still get charged service costs for electric cars. So don't think that you don't have to service them. That was a rumour going around when it started first. Under is here says, fishy on me, got a lot of bees, gonna slap your knees. Great. You're lovely. Keep you. At least it's clean. Andy says, I'm going to shorten the amount of stuff for Bob to catch up through here. Robert Llewellyn, was nice chatting to you. Thank you for keeping it clean and keeping it profile at least. Eric Rocher says, some numbers watching today, getting close to 400. I remember very first on the service. Amazing how it's grown since then. Hopefully we'll continue. It will, because I just stick around and keep doing it. I'd keep doing it if there's only 2 people here. If I was here on my own with the cat, I'd do it for the crack. You know, you have to. Because I took a couple of Sundays off a few weeks ago and it felt weird. At 2 p.m. I came out and I made coffee and then sat here and went, I'm not doing this Sunday service. Even my missus says, you got to take a break every once in a while. I go, yeah, but I feel weird when I take a break. Nick Harding says, hi Bob, are you going to make a jump into the EV market? I probably will, not right now this minute obviously, because we're right in the middle of a bad time, but yes, I probably will, because my own Seat Leon, there's a rationale, and it's not the one you think it is. My own Seat Leon does about 6,000 kilometers a year. Just did another NCT and it passed it. I couldn't do the underbody bit, but it passed it. 6,000 kilometers, we could walk that. You could cycle that, right? So we're paying 500 and something quid a year tax and petrol, and I service it and all that sort of stuff. If we had an electric car, it would cost us an awful lot less, because it could do 6,000 kilometers a year. You don't have to charge it here at home. You get a quick check done with Nissan every once in a while. That's it. Is that the car for the next James Bond vid? What's that mean? Did I miss one? Oh no, hang on. Mark Turner Smith, a good question for you, Bob. Oh my god, here we go. Good question. This could be illegal. How earth do you get my partner who drives the family car into an EV whenever which way newer second-hand prices just beyond normal families' car buying power? This is my point with electric cars. They're still too expensive. They cost too much money, because the vast majority of people who bought electric cars could afford it. You know what I mean? They were able to make the jump because they were doing well for themselves. They're people who work for Google. They're people who work for themselves. They're self-employed people. They made the decision because they could afford to make that decision. Most families make a decision based on price. So they want the best car for the money that they've got. So they look at a car that's 15 grand, and that excludes absolutely every electric car in the market. 20 grand, same. 25 grand, now you're starting to stretch into the very bottom end of the electric car market, which is the middle of the petrol powered yoke. So how can you get people to go from where they are to electric if the electric cars are so expensive? Anyway, you still got to put that way. You can't convince somebody in it. Like, I would sooner change the Leon to a VW Up for next to nothing. Like, you buy a second-hand VW Up now for a couple of grand, you know, and you can have it sitting there, 1 litre, 3-cylinder engine, service it all day yourself, cost you next to nothing, or run the thing. You know, I'd sooner do that, but Mrs. was electric. Maybe. Is that the cat for the next James Bond vid? Oh, a cat, sorry, yeah, it's the cat. I had to hear me. She's gone off into the kids now. The cat gets weird when the kids go to bed. Literally walks around the place looking for the kids. Mark Turner Smith, would suit her to use a family vehicle due to such low miles. That's exactly what my missus wants to buy as well, because it's so low mileage. 6,000 kilometers a year is nothing like. If some of you hit like, we'll be able to hit the 400 viewers before the end here and set a new record to Father B. There you go. 310 watching now. It's gone back up again. That cat would want to learn some social distancing. Yeah, I know. See, fortunately the cat can't get sick from the same thing we can. Pod62 says, hi Bob, I'm driving a Kona electric. It's great. But I find I've become obsessed with how much kilometres I've left my battery. Is this normal or just help? It's driving me mad. No, it's true. Everybody does. I'm the same. Get into an electric car. First thing you do is check the range. You drive for 10 kilometres. You check the range again. See if you've used 10 kilometres range or 20 kilometres range or 5 kilometres range or whatever. It's quite normal. You get used to it over time. You stop really paying attention. You don't mind when it says you got 100 kilometres left of range. You go, that's okay. I've only got 20 kilometres to go home. Like, it'll be fine. I'll charge it tomorrow or something, whatever. You just get used to that thing after a while. But I do find a lot of electric car owners at the beginning end up making Excel spreadsheets of all of their pennies saved and miles travelled and stuff. And the obsession goes deeper than just looking at the little picture on the screen to see how much miles you got left. It does happen. For sure. 2 million questions left. So many people asking questions today. It's humongous, and we're well over time. It's just 20 past 4. Like, this is crazy. Does Misty have the V8 or smooth EV? I doubt it's the back of the Ioniq. No, Misty's pretty clever. Misty is self-regulated. She gets up in the morning, screams, gets something to eat, goes to sleep, gets up, screams a bit more, has a little play with some string, get something to eat and go back to bed. Sounds like paradise to me, to be honest with you. Because I am the ultimate laziness. Like, I would doze here, live, on air. It's just funny. It's just, that's the way I am generally as well. I just doze off in a chair somewhere. I'm getting very old at this stage. So that's what's happened there. Need a few more to hit the thumbs up, though. That's alright. I don't mind if people don't hit the thumbs up. It's okay. As long as they hit the subscribe button, the important part. If you still have a blank screen, we can't actually see the cat. I still have a blank screen. It's nothing. It just says playback ID CYD blah blah blah. It doesn't say anything. I can't see myself no more. But the cat is gone, thankfully. Off-peak rates are low due to the fact that they are low demand periods. If everyone charges their EV, it becomes high demand period. The period will rise inevitably. The thing about that, Nigel, is here in Ireland you have to pay more for a night rate meter. Otherwise, you just pay the same rate round the clock. So it's no cheaper. There's no incentive for people to charge their car off peak if there's no monetary incentive to do that. So unless we all get night rate meters in, of which there's an extra charge, or we're just very good and just charge it all at night time, it's not going to work. People are very lazy. I'm a firm believer in how lazy people can be and how insane people can be. My wife, who is very much similar to a lizard during the summer, every time the sun comes out, my wife appears and just has to do the whole sun thing. So the sun is out now, so she's sitting at the back door in the sun. It's not terribly warm, but our backyard is like a sun trap. It's on my face as well now, so I'm gone very white, I'm sure. Evie driving's off to play football. Football? You can't be playing football. Social distancing, for God's sake. Can't, unless you're going to play with your own kids or something. That's a different story. You know, with your amongst your family, it's fine. Brian Donald is leaving us. Thank you, Brian. You're very good to have you here. 402. Corrigeen, Alana, takeaway, and Nace must try it. Lana, it's just Lana, Lana. It's very good. The chicken, what did I get to tonight, Catherine? Chicken curry or something? I don't know. Thai green curry. You got a Thai? Red curry. Thai red curry I got. I can highly recommend from Lana. It's lovely. And I'm not sponsored by Lana, but if you work for Lana, you can come and talk to me. And Pad Thai, my missus says, is also very good. Terry Atkinson says, record numbers on today. Well done, Bob. This is the part of being a radio show, boys. This is the radio show from hell, because there's no ad breaks or music breaks. I met a radio DJ mate of mine the other day who said, how do you do that for 2 hours? I can't do it for 15 minutes without taking an ad break. And I go, well, I don't have any advertisers. If I had advertisers, I have an ad break. Chris Harris has landed as well. And said, hi Bob, so funny you were talking about me when I'm secretly watching. Feel free to give me a buzz, says Chris Harris. That impersonator, how do you do that? I don't even know how to do that. I struggled to set up a YouTube account for myself 10 years ago. I can't imagine how you go about just changing your name to Chris Harris or Caroline Kidd or whatever, right? But I'll see about Chris. It's funny. It's just funny how that works out. But anyway, John says, hey Bob, looking to trade my 2014 iGo, but as trade, so looking for a 2-litre Jetta 2008. What do you want a Jetta? Jetta? FM1 Civic Type S 1.8 or 1.6 2007 Toyota Auris. What would you advise going for older car for size. The sun is shining right in my face. I can't read the bleeding screen. John, buy the Civic. Don't buy... Well, the Auris is pretty good as well, but it's a bit boring to drive in. The Jetta is like... The 2008 Jetta is like driving milk. It's just an awful thing to drive. It's very powerful. It was never designed to be a driver's car. It's very popular in America, only because it's all straight lines. But it's an awful thing to drive. Don't do that one. Go to Civic 1.8. The FN1 is actually pretty good. A little bit solid on the back shots, but still a nicer drive than the other ones that you've mentioned. We manufacture more than half of all ICU ventilators made worldwide in Ireland. That's correct. It's a company in Galway or something, isn't it? They're going on 24/7 shifts. In Cork, sorry, yeah. Hiring like crazy. No, they're in Galway. I was right the first time, Galway. They are I saw them. They hit the news immediately the other day because everybody wanted these ventilator things straight away. It's great. It's brilliant for Ireland. We manufacture an awful lot of car parts here as well. So there's a lot of companies here in Ireland who've hit the wall very quickly. A lot of dashboards for Volkswagen is made down in Galway. A lot of electronics and the sat-navs and things as well is made here in Ireland. There's loads of bits on West Coast that's made here in Ireland for car companies. So just remember that one. Bob, if you can hold out on an EV a couple of years, there'll be more used choices. 26 grand for my Chevy Bolt, and it would last me 12 years to retirement. That's not bad. That's pretty good. Chevy, the Bolt EV, yeah. There's a few around now, but within another 3 years, we'll start to see a decent amount of trade-ins that will get us more electric cars that we can buy in the market. Anyway, listen, folks, we have reached 16:22. I think it might not only be the longest Sunday service we've ever had, but also the busiest Sunday service we've had. Thank you very much for joining. Hopefully, you've learned something from today, or at least you've been entertained for the last couple of weeks, a couple of hours. That'll keep you occupied going on to the evening. You can subscribe here, please. It'd be really good if you could subscribe. That's the most important part. Click the bell icon. We want to get to 50,000 subscribers. We're really dying to get to that. It's a 10-year-old channel. We should be long since there, but just the way things work out, unfortunately. Hopefully you will join me next week for the Sunday service. Click the bell icon because I'm going to go live again this week. So we're going to have another one of these in the middle of the week somewhere. And we'll all get together and have another chat. But whatever happens, you've been so good to have you here today. I've really enjoyed our time together. Until the next time, I will see you on the far side.